Denny J Show.
Zvanga zviri downtown uptown itidzwe nyaya dzacho dzese narrative ndaichidwe kana mchida kutipisa deep ndaipidwe make you spill a bean if you know what I mean hande
It's time!
Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Denny J Show. Nash, how we doing?
We're blessed.
Don't ever play yourself. It's good to be back, guys. We've been away for a little longer than usual, but you know we always pop up, and when we pop up with a good thing, right? Nash, let's talk about the last interview we had, Superman Diwanzi. You're the comment guy. How many comments do we have on there?
800 and something.
Yeah.
And we read all of them.
Yeah. And you know, it was like 3 hours and 48 minutes. In fact, that was our longest ever episode, right? Yeah. And all the people who were watching it, they were like, I wanted to watch for 20 minutes. But then I ended up watching for 3 hours and 48 minutes. Yeah. That's how good that was.
I mean, I always tell you about those long hours.
Yeah.
Very informative. And people get a lot of insight on the guests.
But on our data.
No, but still, you can't get all that information from Super in 1 or 20 minutes.
That's true, man. Like, even if we were to edit such a show, which piece would we take off, right? Like, it's not possible. Yeah. So that was a good one. Even the mono one before that was also 3 hours. So are we making a habit of doing long episodes, man?
Because people don't mind.
No, but they got no data, bro.
No, they will get data.
They can watch in bits and pieces until it's done, right? Yeah. No, that's nice. And I keep forgetting every time we get into an episode. Our merchandise is now available. Please go to www.boysthetoners.com. Hoodies, beanies, all the good stuff. And that's how you support the podcast, right?
Of course.
Buy our stuff. You know. That's not a bad deal. You know, you're not subscribing or paying us anything. Just buy our stuff. That's how you can support the show. And today's a very special day. We have one of the most eloquent, one of the most promising politicians in the country. And why I say promising is because he is 31 years old, right? At 31 years old, he has already achieved a lot. And I mean a lot. Like Nash, how old are you? Have you ever thought of wanting to be in government?
No, I've always wanted to control the people in government, but not to be in government.
Oh, okay. That works too.
Yeah.
You know. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm talking about the former deputy spokesperson for the CCC gift, Ostallos, Siziba. How you doing, my brother?
I'm good, my brother.
You must be the youngest politician in mainstream politics. Would that be about right? Mainstream.
I'm not so sure.
31, huh? Yeah. I don't know who's younger than that.
The other youngsters in the politics.
Yeah, but you also started very early as well, eh?
Yeah.
Your first foray into politics was when you were how old?
I joined the movement when I just finished college, so I was about 20, 22, 23.
20, yeah. So you've been in 11 years.
Yeah.
That's quite a lot. The bad thing about this guest, Nash, is he doesn't drink.
Yeah.
Since when? How long have you had this problem, Gift?
No, it's not a problem. It's actually a revelation. I've been having this revelation
right
since birth. You know, some of us are very active, so I don't think that if we add that, it might be a disaster.
Yeah. So you think liquor might hinder your progress?
No, I don't think that it will hinder my progress. It's basically two reasons. One, obviously, is from a personal belief point of view.
Nice.
You know, the way I grow up and the people that I stay with. My father was a pastor, so I got
Okay.
to, you know. And then secondly, I think that, like I say, I'm an extrovert.
Right.
You know, so I think that we are half drunk
Oh, okay.
most of our life. So
Yeah, he's born good to go already. Yeah. So Nash, there was that issue you wanted to talk about before we get into the interview. We have lots to talk about today with Gift, the former national deputy spokesperson of CCC, and he's probably one of the closest comrades to opposition leader Nelson Chamisa. So it's going to be very interesting in terms of insight and just getting to know what's happening behind the scenes and what these guys have planned in terms of opposition politics. Did you want us to talk about that?
Yeah, and I also hope, because this guy looks like he's a sweet talker. Huh?
Oh, yeah,
So,
definitely. I mean, we've watched him.
and, you know, politicians, they're not in Yepera all the time. I hope he's going to be telling us the truth. You know what I mean?
Gift, we hope you're going to be telling us the truth.
of course,
I really hope, because, I mean, yeah.
But the truth and politics does not go together,
Yeah,
though.
yeah, and this guy is a sweet talker. This guy is, yeah.
Does the truth and politics go together, Gift?
and I think so. Particularly communications. If you are a spokesperson of a political party, what makes you achieve speaking on behalf of a people is to be authentic, and you can't be authentic if you are lying. So you ought to. That's what at least I was trained to do. I speak from the heart, you know, and I have to speak what I believe in, and how I see and interpret the world. So if you're not, I think that what you say can be tested over time, and people can always say, "Everybody was lying." So I think that the best, if you are communicating on behalf of the people, is to be truthful and to be honest.
Yeah, that's nice. In a fairy tale world, what he's saying makes sense, right? But
The real world,
you see, if there's chaos in CCC, for example, when you were still in CCC, you're not going to come and say, guys, mawana, shagadagwa. You're going to come and spin it.
No.
Or you're not going to be very generous with the truth, which in essence is lying, you know, by not saying.
No, you see, when you're a spokesperson, your job is to reveal some things and not reveal other things. But not revealing doesn't mean you are not being truthful. The problem is trying to say things that are not truthful. But not to say something is part of communicating, because you have to hide some things and say what has to be said.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. I was like, so I think Nash, we get into it?
well, let's get into it.
All right, okay. So, Gift, let's, before we get into burning topics of what's going on in opposition politics, you know, with regards to you and your team, let's talk a little bit about your background. You were a student leader at the University of Zimbabwe, and this story, I've heard this story so many times. Student leader, university, opposition politics. Student leader, you know, it dates from way back. What is the story with people that they use it wanting to be in opposition politics? Do any of you go into, you know, ruling party politics?
Of course, I think that the University of Zimbabwe then, yeah, I don't know now, but I think that historically it played a significant role, because remember, it was only university in the country, and people who were there were also not, nowadays you see someone who's like 18 years or 17 years at the UZ. Back then, most people who went to University of Zimbabwe, remember, the country was coming from war, so there were a bit of adult people who were connected directly to the national question of the country. So unlike now, you find that students maybe are fighting for more bones and soup. The university then, people were fighting for deep issues. How do we expropriate the land? How do we deal with the Mugabe's proposal of one-party state? So these were the conversations at the UZ then, because it already was a platform and the institution that had people who were conscious in society, but also were old enough to understand politics. So because of that, it then became a platform of nurturing leaders from one generation to another. So when we got there, also, we couldn't escape the revolutionary will
Yeah.
to be prepared for national duty.
Right. Because, from Lenmo Jongwe, Tafadzwa, Msekiwa, and Brian Kagoro, you're either in civic society or you're in opposition politics. So I think there's a disdain for ruling parties.
No, it's obviously you are given light.
Yeah.
So the alternative, because the difference between just coming from home and joining active politics, you don't have a conscious understanding. You are basically not conscious. So when you get consciousness, it's automatic that of the political options that exist, because you are trained and educated not just to pursue power for the sake of power, but for the sake of progress and democracy and development. So it is only natural that if you are conscious, you would have to belong to the alternative. And if you are not, you have to join, because your motivation might be material things or power, attention, and accumulation of the same.
All right. So your history. Tell us. You grew up in is it Shabalala? What? Yeah, Shabalala. Eh?
Yes.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit growing up, your circumstances and stuff.
I grew up in the ghetto in Chabalala, which is a suburb in Bulawayo. I grew up there. I was born in Pilo Hospital.
Right.
And then I went to my primary school in the same ghetto, a school called Matlabe Zulu. I think that it played a pivotal role in shaping my understanding of society, because you are growing up in a predominantly difficult circumstance. You live, with poverty. You get to understand it. My father had worked in National Foods for almost 32 years and is about to retire. Started his own grinding mill, and you are a youngster. You are taken to work.
Right. This is what age is this?
I was grade 6. I started going to, the industry had already collapsed. So CCC was the platform where indigenous millers were now taking space. The cold storage was now just being given to small, entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
So my father got a space there with a whole lot of other, indigenous millers. So I started going there when I was in grade 5, grade 6, grade 7, and up to high school. And it's a bit difficult, because if you go to a milling plant, you can dust yourself when you're knocking off, but there's some dust that can be on the ear. So even if you go back to the people can see it.
Yes.
Oh, copy,
Yeah.
It's kind of embarrassing, because you're young, you don't understand this is a hustle, you think it's child labor, or you think that, it's basically embarrassing, because you've got other kids just playing and living their life, So it's quite a bit tough, but at the same time, it motivates you to work a bit harder, to try and escape, that reality, that I was living in. And I think that's the reason why, for me, the only platform, my father was not an educated guy, but it was very clear that if you don't work at school, you're going to face the, challenges more than him. So you end up going to school not because you like education, but you've just been told that this is the only platform to escape.
Right.
These realities of being embarrassed, for example, to say, where does your father work? Because those are key questions when you're in school.
Yeah.
Where does your father work? You can't say, my father is a miller. You want your father then to be maybe a policeman,
Or a
businessman, or a soldier, something like that.
Yeah.
But that was not true with me. My mother was a domestic worker working in the leafy suburb of Bulawayo, so coming back in and out, so it's something that we are almost not proud of, and then you then ought to find ways to escape that reality, to have a profession that you can be proud of, so those are circumstances around which we grew up. Even staying in Chabalala itself, is something that you're not going to be proud of, because when people ask you, where do you stay, you want to think, so it was something that we're also not proud of when we were growing up, that I come from that ghetto, So it motivates you to say, maybe one day I will leave the ghetto.
Yeah. So you went to school in Shabalala. Was that Form 1 to 6, all the way to Form 6? Or
Yeah, Form 1 to 6, I went to a farm school
Okay.
in Matebelele North called Glock High School. And that's where I did my Form 1 to 6.
All right. Okay. So from then on up until today, tell us that journey. You from that high school, you immediately enrolled at the university?
So in high school, I did my Form 1 to Form 6 in Glock High School. And then after finishing, I got a scholarship from Strive Masiwa. It's got a scholarship which is still there today, called Joshua Ngoma Scholarship, which was very essential, for me, because I remember that things were a bit tougher in the country at the time.
Yeah.
So it meaning that you might not have afforded to go to university. So the scholarship then provided tuition fee, getting allowances and all these lucrative benefits from the scholarship, which then afforded me an opportunity to go to the UZ. I think that at the UZ now, because that scholarship you were almost like a salaried student, because would get an allowance for the whole semester, but coming I think in batches. By then the MDC was in government, so there was money in the ATMs. So
I like that. Okay.
So would collect money in the ATMs and spend at the Infiltration Zimbabwe. That's why we became some petit bourgeois finding student activism,
Right.
because we're a bit salaried. But
This salary came with a scholarship.
yeah, the scholarship paid for your university fees and then your accommodation, and then they would give you, I think it was $600.
That's amazing.
Like
Nash,
that.
what were you saying about Strive Masiwa the last time? You see, if it wasn't for Strive Masiwa, we wouldn't have, this intelligent young man who is the future of Zimbabwean politics.
But Strive only did that because Joshua Nkomo was this guy.
Yeah,
That's the guy that helped
but look
get
at
his
the
license.
beneficiaries of what Econet or Strive Masiwa is doing.
How many people are there helping?
This program was for like how many students at a time were benefiting from this?
They only took 10 students per province, so it's only 100 in the country.
So it was
every
based
year.
on academic performance.
Yeah, yeah.
So like, are we getting the math? This company does billions in profit.
Yeah, but they don't owe you
No,
this money.
No, but billions and it only helps 100 students.
No, this is 100 for the Joshua.
you said
For the
the
Joshua Nkomo program only. There are more programs that these guys are into.
Yeah, I mean, I understand where it's coming from. In fact, when I went to university, I was recruited by the International Socialist Organization, ISO.
Right.
It is the institution that grounded some of us ideologically. And I remember in one of the conversations, so Econet used to host what they called Young and Dynamic platform, which was on WebEx online. So I became a speaker on one of the platforms, and I was very clear that look, this Strive Masiwa guy is an agent of capital, they're exploiting people, his school of thought. And then with a lot of exchange, CCC Masiwa trying to make us understand, no. You have to understand the role of capital, in development and so forth and so forth. We had a very lengthy conversation because I came from the left. Strive Masiwa and business people and capitalists are on the right. So we didn't agree, particularly because capital, you see, capital is good in making profit and very bad in redistributing profit, which is our ideological difference. So I had lengthy conversations with them over that and how I thought and still believe. And I think that efforts were done to ensure that they are able to redistribute wealth so that they avoid a socialist revolution that will take resources from those that have primitively accumulated them. So with this lengthy conversation and that was my really belief, and they were able to convince me in terms of the efforts. Like I was saying, Joshua Nkomo was just but one of the platforms. He connected almost 4 institutions that were being funded directly by Econet. Capenham Trust was funding students from primary up to university who are orphans and vulnerable children. So that this one specifically for those that they call the intelligent student, as it were, who are academically talented. But they also then had something for vulnerable children who are orphans. They also had another program which was called Christian Community Partnership Trust, basically to fund children and daughters, sons and daughters of those who are in the church. And then fourth program was also what they call National Healthcare Trust, which was funding Parenya to hospitals, health-related issues, fighting cholera, and so forth. So I think that, in my respectful view, Strive has done well in terms of redistributing wealth and ensuring that they understand that Econet became a big company because of the efforts of the ordinary people. And they had to make sure that they give back and invest. Yeah. And they have participated in most of their process. And I know that they still do up to this very day. I finished school, in fact, and worked for High Life Foundation, which became the organization that combined all these four institutions to become one. And I know that our yearly budget was more than $2 million US. So I think that they've attempted to do well in redistributing wealth and getting conscious that there are ordinary people that need to be supported by business people.
That's nice. And then, so at the university, politics started for you when you ran for office?
No. When I went to the UZ, I had a teacher in high school. There's a guy who was called Mberi, who was teaching us history. Then he was a UZ graduate. Right. So you talk about Lenmo Jongo, talk about student struggles and why we must go to the UZ. So when we went there, we then started to look for these people. Where, I spent almost a month, second month, I can't see these people. Where are the activists? And then in one moment, I think on a Sunday afternoon, comrades come in, they're chanting slogans, there's a demo there, but you don't know what to do. You have to introduce yourself. So I went there and said, no, comrades, I want to join this movement. Yeah. What should I do? I actually want a parade. That's one thing that I wanted. I actually wanted to buy it or I said to the guy, I'll give you $100 US because I thought maybe you just don't get the parade. So I was even prepared. The parade cost about $2. I was prepared to give him almost $100. And then they said, no, you need to participate and so forth. But I just became a writer. You couldn't just become active as someone who's running for office. I was writing articles, or I was almost like a media guy. I remember that my first article was titled University Politics, Teach Yourself, where I was basically writing about the experience of the Students' Union and motivating first years to join the Students' Union and eventually, joined the ZINASO, and then joined the comrades in the trenches and we moved. I later then participated in the election, but I think on my third year, I think. Right. Yeah, but before then, we were just, distributing pamphlets. In fact, students write a lot of articles and propaganda. Right. So you then just distribute those because in the Students' Union, there's order and hierarchy. So they don't allow you to just rise in the rank without you being tested in the grassroots and organic politics of the union.
Okay. Right. And then, so what year was that when you finally became SRC president?
I then contested in 2014.
2014.
Yeah, and then up to 2015, and then that's when we then left the University of Zimbabwe.
Okay. Yeah. And then from the University of Zimbabwe, you obviously worked for Higher Life Foundation, and I think one or two other organizations. How did you then end up being a cadre for the CCC? Because I know you were founder member of Tajamuka as well. You were, that was before CCC, was it?
Yeah, of course. Remember that there's what is called the democratic contingent, the democratic family, the broad democratic movement. So it has got the party, it has got the progressive civic society, the progressive church, the progressive students union. All these formed what was called the democratic movement. Because you know that the MTC was founded out of that family, the constitutional movement, which was led by President Swangrai, and then Matuk and others, Makumbe and so forth. Yeah. And then Len Mojonge coming from the Students' Union, all of them, and then ZCTU coming together to form the movement. So all these were coming from the broad progressive family. Yeah. So you are active in the Students' Union, but you are connected to the broader family, which is the political party, the civic society, the church, and so forth. So when we left the UZ, we started a movement called This Gown, which was basically a movement of young people fighting for, jobs and against unemployment. We started protesting, going to stadiums, got arrested in some of these cricket, matches, demonstrating against unemployment, and then eventually formed Tajamuka, and then occupied the street, got arrested, stayed in prison, and then we came out. But we were still connected to the broader family, which is the party, the students' union, the civic society, and so forth. And then from there, I then now left the civic society to go directly into the party to be the Secretary General. In fact, I was appointed to be a national executive member before of the youth, which was led by Siziba then.
This is MDC now.
This is the MDC. And then after that, we went to a Congress, and then I was elected to be the Secretary General of the Youth. And then I was removed from the youth, and then deployed to the Communications Department to deputize FADZA in the MDC, and then went to CCC, got reassigned the same mandate, and up to this very day.
Nice. Let's talk about CCC, because I think you're most popularly known for being a spokesperson for the Citizens Coalition for Change. And, of course, you are no longer with them. But I think, to talk about CCC, let's first of all talk about Sengezo Tshabangu, right? Who is he and how has he managed to take over your party?
Look, you ought to understand these facts. The first thing is that Sengezo Tshabangu never took over anything. Sengezo Tshabangu is a pawn, is a tortoise on a lamppost. Our fight to this very day is a fight between ourselves, the progressive citizens who believe that there must be change in this country, against those in the ruling establishment. And you must understand how these regimes operate. It's not a Zimbabwean script. It's a fascist script world over. It's not a script for Zimbabwe. That's why I was in Cameroon a few weeks ago. When you get there, you hear political activists saying their story. You think these are people from Zimbabwe. You think this is an opposition movement in Zimbabwe. Saying, no, our press conference has been banned. In fact, we are no longer allowed. This one and this one is not allowed to contest. Because the script, the detector's manual, world over is the same. So what you see, the objective of a dictatorship is to have an opposition that they control. So our first crime is that we believed, and we still believe, that there can be an authentic opposition. Being authentic means that you don't do night deals with the regime. It means you genuinely believe that there must be change in the country. You are not just there to just create a facade of a multi-party democracy. You are genuinely believing that there must be a multi-party democracy. So people like Sengezo Tshabangu then became willing to, because Tshabangu, I've seen him claiming, and people who try to be ahistoric, to try and claim that Tshabangu has been part and parcel of the CCC. It's not factual. Sengezo Tshabangu was in the MDC, And then he split. When the MDC split, he joined the other parties. Went to
People's Democratic
PDP.
Party.
He went with Mjuru and so forth. He was in Matabeleland North. And then what happens is that before an election, ZANU-PF then comes, what do we do? Because remember that there are polls that are done before the election. You go to an election with almost an understanding of how you are going to fare. You have knowledge. We knew before the election these are the likely numbers of votes that President Chamisa is going to get. These are the likely numbers of members of parliament that were likely going to get, because you do polls, there are surveys that are done. So they knew that there's going to be a problem, particularly in parliament. And the agenda now, by those who coordinated it, Kubani Moyo and others, was that we then have to have a plan of the night after. What must we do? And when we went to parliament, you must check something. ZANU-PF had a quantitative majority. They had more numbers than us. They didn't have 2/3 to pass the law, which was the first problem that they had. But they didn't have the qualitative majority. We were the qualitative majority because we had top of the notch members of parliament. You had Honorable Fazai there, you had Honorable Agency there, you had Honorable Wende then there, you had Honorable Takuzo Ngaziore there. You know, so many very brilliant, organic young politicians. So we dominated parliament qualitatively. So what that meant is that what was supposed to happen is that the next 5 years, it was clear that we're going to be in charge of that parliament. Despite that, we had few numbers. So they had the quantitative majority, but we had the qualitative majority. So now the agenda was to say, how do we destabilize parliament? And then enter Tshabangu. The first agenda to destabilize parliament did not happen post-election. It started before the election. So Tshabangu goes to the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission and files papers on behalf of CCC and say, no, these are my candidates. And they allow him clearly because they knew that if we have double candidates in the CCC, one, people say, but these people are confused. They've got two candidates, why, right? So that it seems as if it's the CCC which has failed. Whereas we never had a double candidate anywhere in the country. So that's the first thing. This party, they are not organized. Secondly, they knew that for some members of parliament and councillors who are not popular as individuals, the citizens might get confused because most people go to ballot to vote for the president and maybe for the MP. Councillors, they just look for the party. They might not even know the person, right? So, but now if there are two CCCs, you get confused. Either you spoil the ballot or you vote for the wrong one, because if the one with a surname which is earlier on the alphabetical order, they will have to get the preference. So they knew that the confusion can benefit the regime. So, but ZEC traditionally, if you go to ZEC and say, I've got my party CCC, or just say CCC, they will tell you that already we have another party called CCC, so you can't register. That's why when the MDC split, you couldn't go back and say we are MDC. They ended up calling it MDCT because they said, no, there's already an MDC by Washman. So you guys, if you want to maintain MDC, it might be MDC something. That's why it MDC Mtambara, MDC Tswangrai, as it were. Because ZEC's law does not allow them to take anyone who comes after there is a party that didn't register. But in this case, they allowed him because it benefited the regime, which mark the deeper challenge that we face in our country about institutions, their lack of credibility and independence and professionalism. We contested this in court. The court dismissed our case. We went to the election. We defeated the same people. In my conscience, as an example, there was someone whose name was on the top in the alphabet, calling themselves CCC. They even went to court to get me arrested. I didn't have more time to campaign because I was in and out of the courts, saying you've teared down our posters, all those sort of criminally, politically motivated charges. But we still defeated them, came with more numbers in parliament. After the election, they go back to the same guy. You come here, you draft a letter. Tshabangu drafts a letter to the Speaker of Parliament. One of the most, funny thing about that letter, so many grammars, right? The first thing, the basis of the letter of why our members of Parliament were removed, they were saying they've ceased to be members of the party. But even the word cease itself did not mean anything because of the way it was spelled. It meant something else, right? So on that basis, Mudenda was not supposed to act on the letter. Secondly, there was no clear proof that you have ceased to be a member of a party, because there has to be procedure. You have been disciplined, you have joined another party, and so forth. Thirdly, we had put correspondence into Parliament from President Chamisa, who had communicated. Remember that CCC was formed when we were going to a by-election after COVID, right? The person who was writing correspondence to Parliament was President Chamisa on behalf of the party. So he wrote and appointed all of us. I was appointed to go to the International Parliamentary Union. We had appointed the leader of the House and the chief whip and others. Parliament respected that correspondence. Now there's Sengezo. The guy is just coming from the dark. They say they respect his letter. President Chamisa writes to them and say, no. But this guy is not our member, and so forth.
Do you not think that maybe the fact that you guys embarked on what you call strategic ambiguity left the door open for opportunists to do what Sengezo Tshabangu did? Because my understanding of politics is dirty by nature.
Of course.
So if your opponent sees a loophole, they're going to use it against you. This strategic, I actually just heard this term from you guys.
No.
Strategic ambiguity, right?
Yeah.
The idea was for you to, to make sure something like this doesn't happen.
No. Let me explain this thing. I've seen many people get confused about this thing. And when we campaign as politicians and leaders, there are two methods of deploying a message, right? When you are in a boardroom, that is a platform of governing. You govern in prose. When you are in a rally or a public platform, you are campaigning. You are not governing. You deploy your message using poetry. So these are two methods of communicating. In a boardroom, you are more clear. In a public, you use euphemisms, hyperboles to express a message. And let me go to the idea of the strategic ambiguity. There was a debate and questions around, why is it that we don't know who is who in the CCC? And our response was saying, no, it's strategic ambiguity. It means that you are hiding some information for strategic reasons, right? And the different platforms in the public, you don't want to give your strategy or your structure, as it were, to the enemy in black and white, right?
But in this case,
let me answer.
They've used it against you.
No. It's not them using it against the attack on the authentic opposition is different. It's divorced from this issue of messaging. But strategic ambiguity is a messaging issue. I'll give you an example. Most of the people who are critical of this thing are people like Jonathan Moyo and other people. And I know they understand this because they're not dull people. They're intelligent people, right? And they know what we mean by prose and poetry. I might not have said who is who, say in a press conference. But when you come to the CCC, we knew who's doing what, when, and how. As an example, we had governing statutes of the organization. We had decision-making bodies of the CCC. For me to become an MP, it was not a decision by individuals. It was a decision by the Citizen National Assembly.
No,
we
agreed.
Both of the organization.
I agree with what you're saying.
Yes.
The problem arises when only you know who's who. Because then it opens up an opportunity for a Sengezo Tshabangu to say, I am the Secretary General. You cannot, it's very difficult to debate and say he's not because we don't know who is.
No. It's easy because...
And that's the loophole.
No.
Remember we said politics is dirty. That's a loophole.
No, let me show you why it is not a loophole. because you are saying it's a loop on the narrative side, right? But we operate on the basis of the law. You get the point? Status of the organization, the communication of the party, defined clearly to all government institutions, to all interested parties. Diplomats know. You would never see me meeting a diplomat. Diplomats knew that if you want to interact with the CCC, you talk to Honorable Gladys Sachwa, because she is the leading person and the point person and the communications bureau person on international relations. People knew, journalists including yourself, that if you want to get news and information from the CCC on an official basis, you have to talk to myself or Honorable Fadzai, right? People knew that if you want to donate resources or you want to do anything to have to do with funding, there is Senator David Kodat, now the mayor of the city of Bulawayo. People knew that if you want to deal with structures of the organization, right, you have to talk to Honorable Amos Chibai. So, and for Mudenda now, different from you who's just reading, you might see a loophole at narrative level, right? But institutions of government don't work with narratives or rumors. They work with the law. They work with what exists de facto and de jure. And they knew that at law and in our standing as a legal entity, Sengezo Tshabangu doesn't exist, right? They might have used that loophole to sponsor their criminality, to say, no, they don't have structures, so Sengezo Tshabangu is part of them. It's now sanitizing criminality. But an act of criminality is not a narrative issue. It is what does the law say? Who is you? I might go and tell people that you are an American spy or a Russian spy, right? I can say it. But interactions between you and the state are not based on what I can write on Twitter. They'll be based on, say, are you a member of this organization based on 1, 2, 3? Okay. So that's the difference.
If I put it to you differently, if the CCC party had structures, for example, if you actually had a secretary general and had all these things and they were out in the public domain, you would still be having a party right now. Because even if you're to look at, there's foul play, right? You allege that there's foul play, that this whole thing was orchestrated in order to weaken,
let me...
Right? So I'm saying, had you had structures, Sengezo Tshabangu would not have been able to access this loophole.
You have raised a good point. And you are... I don't know whether you are a seer to say if we'd done this, this was going to happen. I might not go there. I'll based on historical facts. Do you know that the MDC alliance was taken over criminally by the regime? Do you know that? That in 2019, the MDC alliance was taken over criminally by the... Wait...
I can put that same question to you and say Chamisa took over the MDC after Morgan Tsvangirai passed away criminal.
No. Look. We can come there.
Because
we can come there. I don't want to divert from the issue of... You are saying that having structures that are publicly known and having a secretary general was going to be a buffer against the taking over of a party, right?
Yes.
And I'm putting to you that the MDC alliance, coming from an election in 2018, had members of parliament which were removed in parliament, and the party effectively being taken over, right? But that party had a president, a vice president, a secretary general, a chairperson. Everyone was there.
How was it possible in that instance?
Exactly. That is where the answer lies now. It is criminality. The agenda was to destroy the authentic opposition post-2018. And post-2023, the agenda was the same.
But how did they manage it in this regard, with regards to what you just said? How did they manage it in 2018
exactly.
to take over the...
The only synonymous thing between the takeover of that and this one is the criminal abuse of the state infrastructure. It has nothing to do with the law. It is nothing that we've done. Let me tell you, like I said, people come, I've seen people, I've begged intellectuals saying, no, they try to use your school of thought. If it structures and I say, but do you have a mind of a red? Because do you forget that in 2019, they said, no, you're supposed to do a congress. In 2019, we had a congress. Elected leaders defined all of them. Everyone agreed that This is the legitimate structure of the MDC alliance. Monsora was there, was reappointed after he lost, right? The same guy came and said, no, this thing is not proper. The regime find avenues. Boom, he's now the leader of the MDC alliance.
But with all due respect, Gift, if you look at what happened with MDC alliance, or when Nelson Chamisa took over, because I think the criminality, if anything, started at that point.
No.
Nelson Chamisa should not have taken over MDC after Morgan Tsvangirai's
On what
passing,
basis?
because the constitution was clear on what happens if the leader is incapacitated. It is very clear.
What position did Chamisa hold when Morgan Tsvangirai passed?
But it was an illegally assigned position.
No.
Let's get to the constitution.
MDC, let's go.
Let's go to the constitution of the MDC.
What did the MDC constitution
The only
say?
elected vice president was Thokozani.
You are missing the point.
Chamisa and Mudzuri were appointed by Tsvangirai, and they were
With
appointed
what
under
mandate?
unclear circumstances.
That's why you are missing.
No.
Let me clear the circumstances.
Gift. I don't need you to clear this one. The constitution of the MDC stated that if the leader was incapacitated, the vice president would
Let
go
me
in.
help you
And
there.
the legitimate vice president
That's
was
a handout
Thokozani
narrative.
Kupe.
No.
But the constitution is there.
Let me help
It's
you.
clear.
Yeah, I want to.
You
help
would
you.
obviously sanitize
I
for
don't
the purposes of
sanitize. I mean,
Nelson
these are-
Chamisa.
No.
But
These are facts. If there's anything wrong, let me
Alright,
tell you.
okay.
If there's anything that was done wrong,
because do you know where the problem starts? It starts when people are at the burial, right? And they're burying their leader, and people are clandestinely preparing a national executive committee or whatever you guys call it. Hold on.
Okay.
And then they organize this meeting to ratify that Chamisa is, and this is clear because later on it was proven, and this is why Chamisa was removed from that position. So I don't think it's something that we can argue or discuss about, because it was clear that the court.
I don't want you to rewrite history that
It was
happened
clear
a
that the
few
court
years
gift.
ago.
You understand?
That's why I want to
So
help
when you state criminality and you say they took this, they took that,
Yeah,
take
I want
it
to
also
show
back
that
to
there was
your
no
backyard.
criminality. That's what I want to show to you.
Okay.
I want to give it to you that the MDC constitution, you must understand, my brother, there is what is called the National Assembly, which is called the highest decision-making body in between Congress. What that means is that it can make decisions of constitutional effect.
But were they
right?
necessary to be effected because the constitution was working fine?
No. It was effected when present. Let me tell you, there was a national executive. Because how the MDC functioned is that there are recommendations that come from the provinces, that this is what we propose on the agenda of the national executive, right?
But there was no power vacuum. We had an elected VP who could have taken over.
When
at that
Tsvangirai was
point.
still alive, wait.
Yeah.
When Tsvangirai was still alive, concerns from members of the party was that we need to have the National Council to add on the vice presidents. It was not a decision of President Tsvangirai. It was a decision by the highest. No one, including Thokozani Kupe and Tsvangirai himself, could have been more powerful than the National Council, because it is Congress, it is the party.
Later on,
it
was
decision.
reversed. The Chamisa becoming a leader was reversed later on
Reversed by who?
by the court.
No. That's where
Because
the question,
it was shown that it was illegal. The takeover
no.
had illegal,
There was
illegalities.
there was no proof that. Let me tell you, the judgment by Patel, right? That nullified the existence of the MDC alliance. Yeah. It said the MDC alliance is not a political party, not Chamisa not being a leader. It said, you guys who went to Gwer Congress, you are not a legal entity. You are not a political party. You are just a coalition, right? Born out of the MDCT, the PDP, Walshman Ngube's MDC, and others that came to join the MDC alliance, right? That's what the decision said. What that automatically meant, it meant that we have to go back to the previous Congress, right, of the MDC. It did not say anything on the status and the fate of President Chamisa. It said everything on the legal standing of the political party, the MDC alliance.
But the academics have argued this one out. What Chamisa has done or Chamisa did is tantamount to power grabbing.
No, academic can say that.
No, but he
Only
has. Lots of people
can
have
say
questioned
things
him.
without facts.
And even when they talk of him being power hungry, those are the issues that they put out as V11s.
No. People label. They are half-baked intellectuals. Because when I say to you, you are a fascist, that's why in university they taught us to say, with the aid of examples. You can't just come and say, no, like they were doing to President Tsvangirai during the early days of the MDC. They were telling people, no, Tsvangirai is a white man, right? So people set narratives, a white man. And when people met Tsvangirai for the first time in Jombe, they said, no, but President, we were told that you are white. We were shown a picture of someone who was said to be you, right? That's politics. People cast aspersions. People provide narratives, right? But what is important is that when we then test the credibility, that's why I was saying these academics, we have to bring them to the show and say, look, you have said this, and then we challenge them on the basis of existing facts, not on how we feel about someone else.
All right, going back to strategic ambiguity, I see that you find it difficult to say, no, we might have erred there. Because, look, Gift, if your party was like any other party, Secretary General, what have you, there's no way Tshabangu would have given you, because right now you see what you've done.
How did Monzora come in 2019?
I want you to give me. I want you to give me a model of how you think your party could have been taken over if you had structure.
I'm trying to tell you that the party we had, the MDC Alliance, was taken over.
The circumstances are different. No letter was written. This one here, a letter was written to the speaker. The speaker accepted the letter, right? So had that situation not been there, that letter wouldn't have been written because the person who's supposed to write the letter would have been part of your structures, and then they would have been that
The person who's supposed
loophole.
to write the letter is the president.
But is it really?
Yes.
But you see where the problem is. It's like you're putting a whole movement into the hands of one person.
No.
How does that all well for transparency?
You are missing a point. There are letters that are written by Secretary for Elections, for example. Ian Makoni wrote, up to this very day, he's the one who was writing correspondence to the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission, right? They respected because they knew that is an office bearer of the CCC as a Secretary for Legal Affairs, or for elections, I mean. Yeah. President Chamisa wrote letters to Parliament because he's mandated by the party to communicate with government institutions.
But do you know that with a lot of parties, the president does not do that job?
I mean,
that job is not for the president.
No, you can differ. Yeah. But you cannot say it is not correct.
But the reason...
The issue is not about whether there are many parties who do it. Because I can give an evidence of parties that do that.
No. Most parties, the Secretary General writes. This is why that letter...
We can't say most.
This is why that letter was accepted.
You understand what I'm saying? We can say, look, when we go to Zambia, the correspondence of UNDP is done by HH, right? He used to do it when he was opposition. He still does it now. But he's the president of a country now, right? Let's go. We are a social democratic party, my brother. Let's use social democratic parties, whether it's in Germany or it's in South Africa or anywhere, and say, who does correspondence? Right? So it's not a new thing.
All right, Gift. So is it unheard of for a Secretary General to write a letter? These are no longer our members?
It's not unheard of. But if the Secretary General exists in that organization...
But you see, your constitution is not out in the public domain.
No, but the constitution is known. The Zimbabwe Electoral Commission had the constitution.
What I want you to accept, Gift, is that there were some errors done by this strategic ambiguity of yours.
Look.
This discussion has been held several times, you guys won't budge.
These are people... No.
But
because people are trying to be...
We are in a problem right now. You lost a party.
Let me tell you, it's one thing.
Strategy.
Let me give an example. We had a post-mortem of the election ourselves, right? We have a black and white report that tells us about the processes, what we did wrong and what we did right. Right? So it's not that we don't appreciate. I'll share you with this document so that you know there are so many things that we didn't do right. There are so many things that we did well. What is not correct is to equate an attack on the authentic opposition by the state and equate it to strategic ambiguity. That is where I'm differing with you. A party is being attacked, right? Yeah. We have to go to say, why is the party being attacked? Definitely the answer does not lie in not having a Secretary General, because there is a party that was attacked with the Secretary General.
Okay, fine. But I can tell you right now, I know you guys are working on a movement behind the scenes. Not much information is out there. But I am sure, almost certain, that there's going to be a Secretary General in structures in that movement. Because without that, there will be a repeat of what happened.
I'll tell you what happened.
Are we going to do it again? Because you are refusing to say there might have been errors and then it's correctable. This new movement that you're working on, it's also not going to have structures.
Let me tell you, the CCC, by the way, had structures. The CCC.
No, non-structures. You know, it's like if you have an argument, gift. Your argument.
What position did I occupy in CCC?
Look, you know, the problem that you had is when you took this matter to the courts, the constitution was asked for. Right.
And because you are
the Constitution,
subpoenaed.
yes, but the Constitution was not in the public domain. It could have easily been doctored. It could have been a creation so that you win the case.
No.
But if you are open and your structures are no, it's very difficult for people to take advantage.
You know, I don't know why you are missing it. That we had all these things in 2019.
No. Your Constitution was not out there. No. Let's not talk about 2019. I will not talk about 2019 too much because I didn't research. But I did research this.
But a party was taken over in the same circumstances.
No. No letter was written to a Speaker of Parliament.
A letter was written to the Speaker of Parliament. Let me tell you, in 2019, let me quickly just give you that short history. In 2019, a letter went to the Speaker of Parliament, recall members of Parliament. Yeah. We wrote a counter and said, no, this one has no mandate. They say, no, he has the mandate, right? In 2023, a charlatan writes a letter to the Speaker. We write to them and say, no, this one doesn't have a mandate. They say he has a mandate, right? It is basically a state institution that say, we are going to choose who we want to listen to. It happened when we had structures. It happened when...
I'm not saying what has happened to you is right. But I'm simply just trying to point out that there's advantages in having known structures and a known constitution.
I hear you, but that's why I was trying to give you facts to tell you that the narrative that has been put out there to justify criminality is not correct, right? It's a wrong narrative. It has been sponsored to try and justify why there's been criminal taking over of an organization that we built.
Yeah. Okay. So the problem that you guys currently face, you had a good run in the last elections. CCC was a formidable party, and then all of a sudden everything is lost. I'm trying to understand if there was no other way of having saved this movement. Without the leader of the party resigning.
You have to understand that ours is a protracted struggle for freedom and democracy. When we signed to be part and parcel of the democratic forces in our country, we knew that it's not a one-day wonder. It's a long and winding struggle. And what you see happening to a movement, to some of us students of history, is not new. Remember, like I said to you when we started the conversation, the detector's manual is the same, right? There's nothing new that detectors would do. What you see happening to the CCC happened when Nkomo and ZANU-PF you see today became active before independence. Ian Douglas Smith made a declaration. That's why I laugh at ZANU-PF people when they say, no, hamuitongi nyika ino. I say, you have got a short memory. Because Smith said it to these people, the Mtswangas of this world. Tongogara said to, Smith said to Tongogara and Joshua Ngome and Robert Mugabe, not in 1,000 years, and this is 1965, during the Electoral Declaration of Independence, not in 1,000 years shall a black man rule Southern Rhodesia. In 1,000 years. But in less than 100 years, we lifted the Union Jack and declared Zimbabwe an independent state, Southern Rhodesia then. So, but when you are drunk in power, it is very difficult to imagine that there can be a transition in society. Smith proceeded when he said a black man can't rule Southern Rhodesia. He proceeded and started banning political parties. So this issue of banning political did not start after independence. Smith enacted a law. In fact, I used to submit, and I continue to submit, that the laws that you see today are legacy of colonialism. I'll give you an example. POSA, did not start with Mugabe. POSA started with Ian Smith as Law and Order Maintenance Act. It was LOMA. Mugabe came into power and said, no, we no longer want LOMA. It was used to ban us. He ran from 1989, moved, and then realized, there's opposition. He said, we're coming with a new law. They went to the shelf of Ian Smith, said, what is the law that was used to ban political party? It was LOMA, but we can't call it LOMA because we expose our fascist tendencies, and that was like Smith. So let's call it POSA. They called it POSA. Went to parliament, they started to use it to ban the MDC. So what I'm saying to you is that you ought to understand that they were banned. The ZANU-PF you see today changed names. Joshua Nkomo started with the NDP. They changed names because political parties will get banned and taken over by the Smith regime.
Yeah, but
So
my question remains.
History repeating itself.
Gift. Was this the best move for a party president to abandon his party?
It's not abandoning. Now let me shed light there.
No, it's definitely abandoning.
Yeah. That's where you are
It's
correct
not even
to observe
abandoning
it that way.
I don't know what you want to call it nicely, but he left
No.
his
I
party.
don't want to call it another name. You see, I'm a student of modern scientific thought, and politics is easier when you interact with it based on the facts.
So,
right?
all right, before you answer, was it the best option?
Of course, it was not the best. It was the only option, and I'll tell you why. There are two sources of power in a political party. The first source of power is the de jure legal control of the organization. So, for you to belong in this studio, your first source of power is the legal control that we've got tied to this studio. So that if I come here and say the studio is mine, you produce paper to say, no, I'm the one with the title deeds, right? The second source of power is that we've got your security at the door there. That give you the effective control of this studio. That can assure you, even if you've got title deeds, they use their power to stop me if I want to come and grab the part. What happened after election? The two sources of power that President Chamisa had in the CCC, the legal control of the organization and the effective control of the political organization, it became abundantly clear that President Chamisa had lost effective legal control of the party because he wrote to the Speaker of Parliament and said, no, I'm the president of the party. This is the standing and the status of our party. They said, no, we don't recognize you. And Sengezo Tshabangu went ahead and recorded the second batch of MPs, right? What that meant is that we have lost the legal control of the party. It had been taken over through a court order, right? So you can no longer decide anything. They can come and say, we've rebranded it. You no longer have legal control. Then secondly, President Chamisa was motivated by something that you were telling me off the record about an option to just resign and march from parliament, right?
Yeah.
President Chamisa called for a meeting of the Citizen National Assembly to decide on the position that we must take as a movement after the recall of few of our members of parliament, right? That body decided that no, we are not taking the option of resignation, right? What that means, if you're a leader, you have got a position, and the collective wisdom says, no, we can't take that path. It means that you have also lost effective political control of the organization. The only thing that Chamisa was going to be waiting for is humiliation and just being a pawn in a ZANU-PF scheme. That thing had been contaminated, had been taken over. Right? So to remain there was not his choice. But it was only natural.
But what I'm saying to you, Gift, like what I mentioned earlier was like, if your party has been taken over, right, like you rightly said, and everyone in that party, everyone who got a seat, whether a councillor, a senator, MP, got it on the back of Nelson Chamisa, because CCC is Nelson Chamisa's party. Nelson Chamisa could have easily called all those people and said to them, well, this thing is ungovernable. We've been infiltrated. Why don't we all resign en masse and create a crisis? That way, there are no remnants of a political party left in the event that you want to start another one, because you are not fracturing, you are not segmenting the opposition. You destroy it if you have to, because it's of no use to you right now anyway, and it's his creation. He could have got everyone to resign and create a crisis, then register another movement instead of triple CD, coalition for whatever, democracy at the end, and then, defended all those seats.
But look, that's what
you
I'm
could
saying.
have defended all those seats,
But
and then, because you owe it to the people who voted for you. A leader can't just jump off a ship. Even in Titanic, you saw the captain is the last person to come off the ship. So my idea, like I'm saying, and I want you to tell me why it wouldn't work, because clearly I think it would have worked. If everybody resigned, by-elections would have to be called. It would be a crisis. It would be a nightmare for
You're assuming
government.
that everyone was going to agree to resign.
I think so. Otherwise,
what you're
there's no
missing.
leadership. Otherwise, they don't
That's
believe
what
in the
you-
leadership.
Exactly the point.
No, but I don't
Exactly
think
the
so. I
point,
don't think so.
because
Do you know why I don't think so? Because a lot of the people, the senators, the councillors, and so on, they only got to know about Chamisa's resignation in the press statement. I have a number of them. I wrote them down. They actually, like
let me
us,
tell you why.
found out that their leader had
Let's start
resigned.
on the matter of the mass resignation. I'm telling you as a matter of fact, not assumption, that the matter that was being debated by the Citizen National Assembly was, should we resign? I was the spokesperson, right? The position was, should we resign en masse or we take other route? When we went to that meeting, it was in Mavazua, here in Harare. You can ask, the regime puts recorders there. So ZANU-PF knows this debate. If you are very close to the CIO director, he has the recording. We went to the meeting, right? The issue was put on the table. In fact, before the meeting, these people that you are seeing saying, no, we're going to leave parliament, and so forth. Remember, there's been a huge debate on Twitter. People saying, but you guys resign. Say, no, we are defending democratic space, right? When we went to the meeting, people knew that there's going to be a debate on resignation, right? I remember, I will not say the name. I remember one of the guys, in fact, before we went to this, Comrade Ostallos, vakomana kana agenda yenyu iri kuti ibude muparliament isati bude. You get the point? We went to the meeting which was sharply divided. In fact, there were people who agreed that in the meeting, let's not allow so and so to speak because they want to bring a radical agenda that we must resign. It is for that reason why I ended up holding a press conference on behalf of the movement to communicate that we've made a decision to stay away, to disengage from parliament for 21 sittings, right? It was a decision, I think for 14 sittings, can't remember, but I think it was 14 days, right? Because it became everyone the danger, which is a lesson and a learning point. And I've said this to everyone in the movement to say, comrades, if we are going to build a new political organization, one of the lessons, there are people who must be in the highest decision-making body of the party, who must not be allowed to hold a public office like being an MP. If you look at the ANC, if you're a Secretary General, you are not allowed to be an MP. What happened is that when we went for the meeting of the party, which had the power to make a decision whether or not we resign en masse, right? The people who were making the decisions were also members of parliament, right? So these are people who had interest. So they pushed the party to make a lukewarm decision. Or let me put it, we pushed the party, because I was part of that meeting. We pushed the party to take a lukewarm stance to say, no, we'd rather disengage rather than to resign en masse, right? Because everyone was looking at self-preservation, right? Which is when, at that time, when President Chamisa realized that, no, I've lost the political control of this party because I've said, let's resign en masse. And people are saying, no, we can't take that position. It's an emotional one. People are not thinking through. you are being student activist and so forth. But we said, look, follow the conscience of the moment. Every citizen is saying, let's resign. And why are we staying there, right? So you, it's on that reason, it's not Chamisa leaving the Titanic earlier. He's actually leaving because the Titanic has sunk, right? But there are people who want to create an image. No, he's still there. You're supposed. He actually, because he was no longer there. The party had been effectively at law taken over and effectively politically taken over. So there was no party. There was nothing to defend. It was only logical to say, look, you know that you have lost this, and prepare to fight. It's a fact. You can be emotional about it. You can be unhappy about it. But if this has happened, you ought to start from there. The party has been taken over criminally, so start from there. But you can't start without accepting that this has happened.
But like I pointed out earlier, like a number of senators and MPs and so on got to find out that their leader resigned in the press statement. So, of course, there were some MPs who were in these meetings who were clearly not trying to resign, but the message was not communicated to all your comrades, was it?
For them to resign? No. Remember that the decision for people to resign has to be made by the organ of the party. That's why.
So it ended at the organ level.
Yeah, the organ of the party is the one that then decided that instead of resigning, let's disengage. And everyone was informed that we're disengaging from parliament. No one must go to parliament. No one must go to council. No one must go to senate. And everyone respected that decision of the party, right? But I'm saying that it was a compromised decision because the real proposed decision was that we must resign, right? But everyone said, no, we can't do that because everyone was saying, if you remember, this debate went online, people were saying, no, we used our own money and so forth. So if a senator said to you, I didn't know about the resignation, this is what I'm trying to explain to you, that look, the party no longer existed. So President Chamisa only had to communicate that I'm no longer there because the party had been taken over. It doesn't exist, right? And people got to know that. So it's of course, some people didn't know, or they knew that the party has been taken over, but they didn't believe it. I'll give you an example. I said to one of the elders in the party, you know, there's one of our leaders. He had so much faith, you know, in the courts. And I said, look, gentlemen, we're going to a by-election, right, after being removed. And then we're debating, should we contest as CCC or we contest as a new political party, right? They said, no. You must contest as CCC. I said, for you guys, we are going to take this decision fully knowing that we are a sacrificial limb for the advancement of our struggle, because this decision that you have taken, you have got faith in a judiciary system that has been captured and has been so daring to show that it has been captured because it's jumping at the whims of ZANU-PF. But you still can't believe it. You still have faith. You still think, no, we're going to go to court. We're going to stop Tshabangu from recalling further and stopping you from contesting. I said, no, but look, a previous batch of MPs had been removed from the ballot, right? How do you think that we are going to remain on the ballot? They said, no, we're sorting. I said, I understand.
I mean, why didn't you just stand as independent?
You must understand one thing. We are loyal to the party and loyal to the struggle and loyal to the organization.
But the party has been taken over.
Yeah, but remember that there is an organ that makes decision, right? And one thing that you must never do, if you're a genuine and authentic leader, if you are given a platform, I was given a platform privately to come and say my views. That's why I said my views. No, I don't think this works, right? Once you are given a platform to come and converse with the leadership and say what you think, if a decision has been made, you stand with the decision. It doesn't matter whether a decision takes you to the grave, you stick to the decision. Only a selfish individual will say, no, because I've said this doesn't work, and then I'll change. You don't do that. You ought to be loyal to the organization. You ought to demonstrate, even if it costs you to be an MP, you must be loyal to the organization. So I stick to a position of the organization, even if that at personal level differences, right? Because I took it that we are being tested on our credibility, on our credentials as young revolutionaries, that if things go south, if there's a threat to your individual political aspirations, are you prepared to bend to the collective aspirations of the leaders? And I said, look, if the collective decision is that we use CCC, we're going to use it. But we've said, and history absolved us when a decision was taken for us to be removed and so forth, right? And obviously said, no, but you're right. You know, but you stick there because remember, and I've said this to many people, our difference between us and ZANU-PF, if you want to be an MP in ZANU-PF, you have to wear a scarf, say 20 changachipo, and probably belong to some relatives of someone with
Is
power.
that true?
Yeah.
Are those the requirements?
Those are the requirements, right? And you are just going there to represent those that have put you there. You're not there. That's why ZANU-PF MPs don't mind going back to the people in the constituency, because their mandate at the first place didn't come from the people. The difference between a ZANU-PF MP and a CCC MP, we went into parliament not because some elite wanted us to be there, but an ordinary person in the ghetto in Chabalala felt genuinely that Ostallos can be a conveyor belt of my real grievances. So the privilege that comes with me being a leader or with me being an MP, that privilege is different from someone in ZANU. Someone in ZANU gets that privilege probably because their father went to war or you know, and these other issues. The difference between me and those in ZANU is that I become an MP because I represented the genuine and real grievances of ordinary people. So it makes me have an understanding.
But there are also a lot of genuine MPs who go in and contest under the ZANU-PF ticket to represent the people.
Yeah.
It would be wrong to assume that everyone who's there is there because
it's not everyone. The minority that you're talking about don't last in ZANU. They don't last. They get removed or accident.
But MPs
they don't last.
MPs don't get removed.
No. You remember that when you're MP, you get elected to be a minister. Yeah. When you're a minister, you start talking about the genuine grievance of the people. Then they will tell you, no, you are missing. Yeah, it's not about the genuine issues of the people. We are controlling wealth, we are looting. What is the script? Are you now sponsored by Chamisa? You are removed. Right? Ask all of them, ask genuine members who have attempted to be genuine on the Geza. They don't last. Right? Some of them are in exile now. They don't last. Don't question power.
Yeah, but I mean that's factional politics.
No.
Yeah.
So it can tend to be factional, but there's a principle that you attempt to represent that is criminal. Try to be a truthful person. You will not last. You had Super here a few days ago.
Yeah.
You should have asked Super that what necessitated Super to go to Britain when he went for the fellowship. He will tell you, if you can be honest. Don't attempt to be authentic.
No. But his story is very clear on how he got to go to England.
The Chevening. The Chevening scholarship.
Yeah, the scholarship.
What were the real issues? Don't attempt, my brother. It's a free advice.
I mean, I can't talk too much about stuff I don't know about.
Don't. My point is, we went into parliament not as a career choice, right? We went into parliament because it's a patriotic duty. We have to serve our people.
I think it's a career choice because this is why the people couldn't resign en masse. You know, being in parliament is a job for some people.
You have said some people.
You get paid, you get a car, you get allowances.
That's where the difference can be.
And this is similar across the board, whether it's ZANU-PF or MDC.
No.
This is why people won't relinquish an MP post in solidarity with a leader. Because it's an investment into getting a seat, and once you get you can't tell me to leave the seat.
That's what I want to answer, at least on my behalf. When you go into politics as a career choice, it becomes very difficult to relinquish power. Right? What we were trained when we were young revolutionaries is that leaders serve and live. Leaders come and go. That's the culture that we were brought up with. That's why I was the president of the Students' Union. And I remember that.
Get into power and then you'll see.
No. I've had power, my brother. It might be limited, but let me tell you. And I'll answer what will stop us from not doing that. Because power corrupts. So you are not wrong in your reading that power corrupts and absolute power corrupts. Absolutely. And I'll tell you how we should get rid of that. Was a personal choice. When this recall started, I was not recalled myself. They recalled other people and I was left there. They started writing things, dismissing Tshabangu, dismissing all these charlatans and calling them for who they are. They said to me through their envoys, no, young man, stop attacking us on the internet. We don't want to remove you. I said, you can go to hang. You get the point? Because I took a principled position that I will not rewrite facts because of self-preservation. And when I made that decision, I knew that because I've attacked these people, they're going to remove me from parliament, right? Everyone knows it. Go and ask all those MPs. All of us had an opportunity to make a choice. That's why Fadzai, he was not recalled from parliament, but she took a decision to resign because it's a conscious decision. And not everyone in this struggle is conscious.
But right? I think she did that because she expected the others to follow and suit.
No. You can't assume. Let's deal with what she wrote in the letter. But she wrote that.
But it's politics.
Yeah.
It's all calculated.
But she wrote on the letter that parliament is no longer a platform to advance the real grievance of the people upon which I was elected.
But do you see what that was?
Resigning.
That is like an announcement to anybody who dares, who wants to listen, to say, look, this is how I feel. You probably feel the same way. Let's all resign. Without necessarily saying, let's resign.
No, it's saying, this is how I feel. If you feel the same, resign. If you don't feel the same, stay there. And let me tell you, it was simple. I mean, I'm a political scientist, so I wouldn't force. There are some people that if you ask me and say, would you force this one to resign? I'll tell you that even if I'm the one to make a decision, I'll tell them, you don't resign. Do you know why? I look at their material status. I look at their ideological consciousness. It is at -0. So this is not a conscious person. So you can't appeal to their conscience and tell them that the struggle is bigger than your career. Resign. 2, you know that this person is there, is looking with one eye closed to the car sales. I want that vehicle, right? And thirdly, this is someone whose career is on the twilight end, right? It is only natural. I mean, I have to understand it's wrong, but I have to understand that I told some of these people that I understand why you are betraying the struggle. Look, you have been fighting for 20 years. You are tired, right? That's why I don't want to be a career politician myself. That's why I want to save and live. I don't want to be embarrassed hanging on onto something. We fight. The reason why it's a protracted struggle. If we don't have a democratic breakthrough, right, in our lifetime, we will still say and make it easier for these youngsters that are coming and say, comrades, we have done our best, right? We have not achieved freedom. I know, I've no doubt that we're going to achieve a democratic breakthrough ourselves. I've no doubt that. But supposedly we don't. We will have to make it easier. We don't have to make people to hunt us and chant slogans down with Ostallos. No. Make it easier. That's why I'm going to school now. I'm likely going to complete my PhD next year in January or so. I'm doing this because I'm preparing for my exit from politics. So that when I realize that, look, we have been fighting, we wanted to have democracy and to govern this country differently. We have failed. We'll say, youngsters, this is how we joined. This is what we tried to achieve. We failed here. These are the lessons. But carry on with the baton stick. I don't need them to have a demonstration like we did with Mugabe. You see, why Mugabe died a bitter man? Mugabe thought that he is the only person who's intelligent to run this country. But look, you can be a president of this country because being a president, just going around with the blue lights, opening for this administration, opening anything, whether it's one block or a bathroom or anything. But in a normal country, you are opening artificial intelligence center, an international lab, and so forth. For us, we patched the road ribbons. All motorcade, ministers, diplomats, we cut it. But what that shows at the end of the day, doesn't matter whether they're opening like Chinamasa. Chinamasa goes all the way to Mtare, motorcade, government bill, holiday inn, 4 days, security. And then we say, the minister is there, he's opening something. I think there's something magnificent. Maybe there's now diamond polishing industry in Manicaland. The guy, boom, is opening a bin. Right? So that's the legacy of the. But what that shows at the end is that politicians are just there to cut ribbons, because who runs government is not politician, it's a bureaucracy, right? Which is why we have to invest in the bureaucracy, not on politics. Anyone can be a politician and be a president. It's nothing special, right?
Okay. Ostallos has a lot on his mind. Let's get back to many former and current comrades.
Sorry, Denny. Is that machine working today?
Which one?
The pressing machine, the drums.
Oh, no.
You haven't pressed it once.
I'm attending. This one is an intelligent one, so I have to be attentive.
Pressed the button once.
Yeah, many former and current comrades have accused your leader, Nelson Chamisa, of being power hungry. And most of it stems from what happened, that issue that we spoke about where, the constitution was usurped and so on. But it's not just 1 or 2 or 3 people. It's a number of people who have brought this one up. How do you respond to that?
Look, politics, you have to understand, a society functions on the basis of a social contract. A social contract is the relationship between the leader and the led. It is what defines whether you can be a politician or not. What do the people think about you? What do the people say?
Ostallos, are you coming to
I'm
power
coming
hungry?
to the question. So first thing that you ought to understand is that President Chamisa has got a mandate of over 2 million people, right? So when you've got such a genuine mandate, what it means, you become the number one most critiqued person, right? You are the number one most talked about. I used to ask him and say, President, do you have got cotton buds? What do you do? Because we talk about you. I myself, the moment we leave the office, we are talking about you. President was supposed to do this. President can do this. President, and I can wonder how many people talk about him, right? And it is only natural. He's holding a public office. He has to be criticized. And then secondly, President Chamisa, there are so many people that feel, in fact, when President Chamisa took over, there's so many people, a number of them, in fact, the people that you are talking to, they didn't start by saying he's power hungry, those people. They started to say, one, Chamisa is too young to lead the alternative after President Tsvangirai. Number two, they said he's not going to win the 2018 election. Number three, they say he's not going to pull the necessary crowds that we need to campaign. Because remember, this was almost like 6 months from an election, right? President Chamisa started to appear in Epworth there. We went with him. We're like, what has happened to this guy? People are frenzy. From there, we went to Masvingo. We were actually afraid to book stadiums because they had told us, we are intellectuals, we've been there, we worked with Morgan. This guy can't make it, he can't even fill a stadium. We started our meetings in halls. We said, no, we're doing town halls in fear of being exposed. When we went to Masvingo, we realized the hall is full. People are outside. We said, no, let's dare them. We said, give us a stadium. We went to Macheke, full to capacity. We went to an election, and the measure of a leader.
No.
Chamisa's
Chamisa's popularity is not in question.
I'm telling you about these people. They didn't start by saying he's a detector. They started by saying he's not going to surpass what Morgan did. But the guy went to an election, got more than 2 million votes by ZANU-PF's rigged standards. They remain mum now. They say, no, we can't say it doesn't have the people. We can't continue to say he's young. They started saying, no, he's a detector.
I think the problem is, let's not mix popularity and dictatorship, because Chamisa is popular.
I was giving you a context.
Yeah.
That they didn't start with saying he's a detector.
Yeah, but most of the people who actually say this, ones who are not into the internal politics of your party, almost all of them talk about the situation with the constitution and Thokozani Kupe. And I don't think you can blame them. Or can you? Can you blame them for thinking that Chamisa is power hungry? Because when you look at the hierarchy of the MDC at that time, Chamisa was not next in line.
Let me.
Can we agree that he was not next in line?
No. You are missing the point.
No.
Let me tell you what these people are going to suffer. Actually.
You are Chamisa's right-hand man.
No. I'm here.
You understand?
So
I get
I'm not
you.
Here as, I'm here in my personal capacity. No.
No, you're not here in that capacity, but you're still.
No. I'm not here.
We all know. So what I'm saying to you is, he is one of the three vice presidents.
Yeah.
One is elected at Congress. The other two are appointed by NEC or whatever you.
Do you know what happened in Zimbabwe grounds?
But this case that we're talking about.
Let me tell you.
It's a clear case which has been discussed several times. I'm sure you've seen.
If you become a president of a party, Denny, if you become a president of a party, don't make the mistake of thinking that politics can be driven only on the opinion of the elite. The reason why I gave you a reference of a social contract, let's go and say we were making a decision, me, you, and those elites were saying this one is a detector, he's junior in the rank. Say we said, let's put Thokozani Kupe there, right? And say this is the party, because they did it actually. Thokozani Kupe was on the ballot representing the MDC. Say, Dave, why I would tell it was politically incorrect to put someone else who was not Chamisa, even if, say, the law said so of the organization. And the reason why you have to amend certain laws is when you look at the political reality, because it's not the law for the law.
Thokozani Kupe is not as popular as Chamisa.
So we were going to start our party and say, no, all of us, we follow Moken Swangrai. The constitution says Thokozani Kupe is our president, we put him. Chamisa say, you are right, guys. Your constitution says you are not. I'm going to start my party, Triple K, Shoma. The guy was going to defeat all of us with our doctrines and all those things, right? So you ought to understand that the deployment of President Chamisa was not because of the interest of the elites. It was because you read the mood. When we went to Zimbabwe ground, anything you attempted to do without showing that you are pushing for a Chamisa ascension, the masses, not some elites in some air-conditioned offices writing on Twitter, politics is about the people. Mm-hmm. When you say we have lost our leader, who do we take?
Yeah,
the people will tell you.
So you're saying we can get rid of the constitution and follow what the people
You don't get rid of a constitution. You look at the constitution and say, what does the constitution say? The constitution say, if the leader is not there, if the leader is incapacitated or leader is dead, you convene the national executive and the national council and put the leader.
Automatically, the vice president takes over while that process is effected.
They are acting.
Yes, but
that's why Mutsuri was acting president.
But Thokozani was never given that opportunity in the first instance, because once we were still at the cemetery, the guys were plotting.
Let me tell you the other piece of history that we are missing. Kupe, if we go to this with the script of the constitution, Kupe deceased to be the vice president of the MDC, because the constitution of the MDC said if you skip 3 national council meetings.
No, but I think she had genuine excuses and she was communicating.
No, she had no genuine excuses.
She was communicating.
Don't realize that history. When as people were close to Kupe, let me tell you, had a fallout with President Tsvangirai. That is the piece of history I want to give you. Kupe was no longer attending the meetings that were coordinated and called for by President Tsvangirai. Kupe had become let me not use that word. Kupe had left effectively. So if you go by that, the reason why Mutsuri becomes appointed the vice president is because Kupe was no longer there in the party. Effectively at law, Kupe was no longer in the MDC. That's one thing you ought to know. That's why Mutsuri became acting. President Chamisa then gets a mandate after we followed all the legal process of how you replace a leader. Nothing unconstitutional, nothing out of this world. In fact, we made that decision in line and cognizant of the conscience of the moment, the signal that were being given by the people out there, right? People had started composing song. I remember the first song I heard, Moro Nerera Moro. People were communicating, because in politics we use song to communicate our position. That were ordinary people saying, if we had gone against the conscience of the moment, we're just going to suffer into political oblivion.
He has also been accused of being a dictator by comrades. It is said that he is averse to transparency and accountability. Former Seke legislator Willard Madzimba Muto, Triple C candidate for Unyani, said that, and Love Motion Oputsa also echoed the same sentiment, and so as user lecturer Dr. Petsai Ruhanya and many other academics.
I didn't know that Madzimba Muto said that. All these colleagues, I know all of them, and I interact with Dr. Petsai Ruhanya, and I know his position. And I interact
you
with
guys are
no,
creating a dictate.
No. There are people who might feel that we're creative. You know, President Chamisa is a very popular leader. And people think that when you give reference, I'll give an example. People think that when you post about President Chamisa on the good side of what's happening in the party, you are not recognizing of something that is bad. We have our internal processes. I don't think anyone, you have got a family. If your wife or your kid, you are in a family, there are issues you are not agreeing with, comes and say, Dad, these are the feelings. And then you say, okay, we're going to solve it this way. Is there a reason for the child to go next door and say, no?
No.
You get the point.
They've tried to speak to him in meetings, and he is averse.
No. But there are meetings, all the
to
meetings that
transparency and accountability.
Let me
he
tell
doesn't want to be questioned, is what they're basically saying.
Yeah, but we have been in the part, right? If you say on such a meeting, there's someone who questioned this about the president and was not allowed, right?
Yeah, but
That's
this is what Willard Madzimba Muto was saying.
No, it's the first time for me to hear this.
Willard Madzimba Muto is on record. He wrote a press statement saying that I try to do dialogue and the person does not dialogue.
I think you are confusing the people. It definitely cannot be Madzimba Muto. I don't know what's the source.
Because there's Madzimba Muto and there's Love Motion Oputsa. I think Love Motion Oputsa
Chinopusa wrote. Yeah. And I know Love Motion Oputsa, right? When we campaigned in the youth, when I wanted to be Secretary General, I supported Love Motion Oputsa to the chairperson of the youth. And everyone in the party, I wouldn't want to discuss individuals here because they're not there to defend themselves. But we've got a history together. We know each other. We know what weaknesses each and every one of us have, right? And what our strengths are. And I wouldn't want to go to those issues. But I can tell you without doubt that for you to test the democraticness nature of a leader, we have to say, this is the organization. These are the meetings that we hold, right? Are you allowed to contribute? Because what a detector does comes to a meeting and say, this is the direction that we're taking. Anyone who doesn't agree, go. That's not how Chamisa runs the movement.
No, not really.
That's not how the
dictator can listen and then not be averse to criticism.
But I told you as an example, right?
Yeah.
I'll tell you next. In fact, I'll tell you the other thing, which I think had been President Chamisa's weakness. I think that President Chamisa was actually, we argued in the party and said, look, you are actually too democratic to people that have betrayed this struggle. You're too tolerant to people that we know that these are betrayers, right? I'll give you an example. We debated some of his appointments because he said, no, we must be all embracing. We said, no, but you can't embrace this one. This one is a betrayer. They appointed those people.
Is that promise?
No. It was not in parliament. We said to him, you can appoint this one to be the leader of the House in Senate. She has no history and understanding of the struggle. She has demonstrated lack of moral probity to be in that office. President Chamisa says, no, we must be all embracing women, people who differ with. We said, no, but this one had a meeting with Welshmen undermining the collective leadership of the party. And the president, no, you guys, Ostallos. In fact, I'll give you the other example. When Monzora started his chicanery with ZANU, I met him in Holiday Inn, saying, no, we're going to take over this party. ZANU-PF has agreed with us. We're going to destroy that young man. I went to the party, I was the Secretary General, and said, we no longer want to see Douglas Monzora in the headquarters, Harvest House. We assembled our troops. President Chamisa called for a meeting, I think with Mashonaland East, and Monzora was there with him. We went there, we unleashed our youth vanguard to deal with Monzora to be removed because we said this one is now a constitutional delinquent and a rebel because I've heard him saying that he's going to betray this struggle and destroy the organization. You know what President Chamisa did? It's on record. Go and search on I wrote a letter to Monzora and say, you have ceased to be a member of the MDC. We no longer want to see you. You have joined ZANU-PF, right? What does President Chamisa do? The first thing Monzora, when he left Harvest House in the 5th floor, the presidential block, was escorted by the presidential security. President Chamisa unleashed his security to say, no, escort this man, ensure that he's safe. But we said, look, our engagement with him was not going to be physical. We just wanted to make sure that we help him de-associate with us. President Chamisa said, no. You are too much of youth exuberance. Monzora is our colleague. And said, but you are being too democratic to a betrayer, right? This struggle needs discipline, and we have to part ways with some of these people if we have differed, right? Monzora remained in the party. 2 months down the line, Monzora started removing MPs, and the whole charade started, right? I'm giving you these examples because many a times, President Chamisa, in reality, my brother, people can be disingenuous and it's allowed to hate the man. But I'm telling you, these are concrete realities. President Chamisa, we labeled him for rewarding people in a more democratic manner, which we said, most of these MPs, we had reservations about some of these.
Is that not a weakness, though? You should be decisive. If you've noticed that Ostallos is a snake, why must we wait till 2 months later?
Look, he has been accused so many times that you don't tolerate people, and so forth. And it's understandable that every time he says, in fact, those who criticize him are the ones who get rewarded. That has been the history of the Chamisa presidents. The people who criticize him the most, go and these things I'm telling you can ask people who have been active in the party. They'll tell you that some of us who are loyal to the organization, because there are 3 loyalties, which some people don't know. They know you are just loyal to the leader. No. We signed for 3 loyalties when we joined the pro-democracy movement. Loyalty to the country, loyalty to the movement and the cause, and loyalty to its leader, right? So, and that is why I was explaining to you why when the party made the decision for us to go as CCC, I went with CCC because we are loyal to the organization. We are loyal to our country, and we are loyal to our leader.
Okay. Nelson Chamisa a few days ago issued out a statement, and I was very surprised by the statement because he talks of a crisis. Are we in a crisis? Is the country in a crisis right now?
The answer to that question is a report that was provided for by the Minister of Agriculture. The Minister of Agriculture says, presented this in Parliament, 51% of Zimbabweans are food insecure. 7.7 million Zimbabweans are going to need government assistance. Of that 7.7 million, 1.2 or so are in the urban areas. So half of our population in this country is living in abject poverty.
But this is also to do with the drought.
No. Remember, this
the crisis I'm asking you
environmental
about
problems
is a leadership crisis, which Chamisa says.
The economic crisis is born out of. I can proceed with the data. The Auditor General, the Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Commission by Justice Matanda Moyo, says Zimbabwe loses $1.2 billion on illicit financial flows. All these challenges that are economic in nature are born out of the challenges that we're facing in the political. Never make a mistake of thinking that economic challenges exist exclusively out of the political question.
No, because then what you seem to suggest is that Nelson Chamisa is answer to all these problems, which is incorrect.
Let me tell you why that is correct. For you to govern, for us to stabilize this economy, this currency issue that you are facing, I've seen that ZANU-PF, they're hiring people to make songs about Zik. They're paying people who are singing about Zik. They've hired sangomas to do some skirmishes so that the Zik stabilize. And I've said to them,
I don't think that's correct.
maybe you have not seen it.
No.
And I've said this to them. The economic rules will never change until Jesus comes. They were established. For you to stabilize the economy,
Yeah. You know, our country has economic issues.
to stabilize
And I
the
think
economy,
those economic issues have very little. Huh? They have something to do, but very little. The leadership
you
crisis
have missed
that...
it with a big margin.
No. I get it, Gift. But my point is, Chamisa is creating a picture to say everything that's happening is because the election was stolen from me,
Let me tell you what election.
according to him.
No, it's not according to him. It's according to those that started this thing called an election. An election was started so that those who govern have the mandate of the people. So what happens, wait, if you go to an election, like I was observing election in South Africa, if you go to an election, you get a mandate from the people. What happens that the people who say this one who's up there was voted by us, we support him. What you get there is what philosophers call a strong social contract. A strong social contract gives birth to currency stability. Confidence. What makes you, my brother, right now, what makes you not to have zig in your pocket there and US dollars? You yourself, you have no interest in politics. You don't care whether it's ZANU or CCC in government. You just want proper life. But you don't have zig in your pocket. Or you're not going to store many zig notes in your house because you have no you have no confidence on the currency. So what brings currency confidence is that those who are elected must be trusted by the people. And the example in our difficult country is the GNU, right? What was there in GNU is confidence, right? What an election must do, which is the sad story about the Zimbabwean history of election, they leave us divided than united, right? Which is why I thought, in my view, what was supposed to happen post-election, it was not this Tshabangu saga. It was supposed to say, look, as political leaders across the political divide, let's sit down and say, this is how the election was done. These are our differences with the election. Remember that we're not the only one who contested the process. Even ZANU-PF members contested the election, right? Once that happens, you bring confidence and stability into the economy. You start to bring accountability. President Chamisa, it's not about him. It's about the voice that he represents.
Yeah. No.
So
I get what you're saying. In
In
terms of confidence, the part that politics plays, it's obvious. We are aware of that. My question was really to do with the fact that this election was held almost. I think in August it will be a year, right? And you guys appealed to SADC and you appealed to the region and all sorts of stuff. And up to this day, there's no answer. And from what we've gathered as ordinary citizens, people have moved on. So when this statement comes and your leader keeps saying there's a leadership crisis, we don't see this leadership crisis because we have moved on.
It's understandable, my brother, and confirms that...
You do know that people have moved on.
No, you can't say people. You were correct when you say I've moved on.
The only people who haven't moved on is you and your leader.
No.
Even the people in CCC, I'm sure they've moved on. You are no longer with CCC. Those people have moved on.
I talk to ordinary people. That's why I say...
I'm with those.
You have moved on.
I am with those people.
No.
We have moved on, my brother. No. We are busy waking up in the morning trying to hustle. We're no longer worried about what happened in the election. You know what happened with that election and your contestations about the results and so on. The window of interest for most people was the 2 months after it happened.
Let me tell you.
Now a year later, you're trying to tell us we have a leadership crisis.
Let me tell you the challenge.
Let me
tell you the challenge that you face. It's understandable. You are part of the middle class in this country. It's understandable. You ought to understand one thing, and you are going to see it. You are moving on, right? When you get where you want to get by December, there, you look at your bank statement.
But we have a history of moving on. You guys did not start this struggle today.
Yeah.
You have made promises to people. People have believed in you, and then you've let them down, and then another election has come, and the same thing. It's a cycle. People have learned how to move on.
That's why I tried to appeal to your conscience to make you understand one thing, that our struggle that we are prosecuting is not a one-day wonder. It's not a rosy path. It's not. Change is not going to be there in the next hour. I want it yesterday, but I'm conscious of the fact that it's not going to happen tomorrow. But I have to do every effort for it to happen tomorrow, right? But I've got a deeper understanding. Let me tell you, during the liberation struggle, why there was someone like Albert Nyadi, Albert Nyadi realized, hey, comrades, we've been fighting 40 years. No. Let me just join Smith, right? It is natural to struggle with men's reality. That's what Karl Marx taught us when we were first years in School of Modern Scientific Thought, that you are not getting into this struggle with the intention, if it happens tomorrow, that's good for us. But we've got an understanding that it's not a one-day wonder, right? And it's not measured by elections. It is measured by us reaching to the destination. And that destination is having change in our country. It can happen tomorrow, it can happen next year. What we cannot do on the basis of the assault is to give up. Right? But we can't capitulate on the basis that we've been attacked.
But you do realize that Nelson Chamisa's hand has been weakened. You know, before, when these contestations started, he was the leader of the CCC. He had a movement behind him, and he was saying, I won this election, or whatever he was saying, but he had a force with him. Now he's a civilian who is out there in the street and is saying we have a crisis.
We make a mistake as a people of making it a Chamisa issue.
No, it actually is at this moment, because Chamisa is no longer a CCC. Before, it was about Chamisa and his movement. Now it's about Chamisa as an individual.
Which is also a fundamental mistake.
When you come and you say, there's a leadership crisis and so on, this is Chamisa talking from the outskirts.
You must understand why in most of our statements, we used to say, we the people. If there is an era of people thinking that...
we the people is a statement that is used worldwide by people, politicians, trying to insinuate as though they represent the masses.
But this is what at least we genuinely believe in. We believe, and we continue to say, our struggle is a collective effort of every Zimbabwean who believe that there must be change. Change with the intention to change the concrete lives of the suffering masses of our people. That's what we believe in, right? And at any historic moment, it must be about the people. It must never be hinged on individuals.
Okay, Ostallos.
It must be hinged on the collective aspirations of the people and their collective effort.
All right, okay, Ostallos. On what basis would the leadership of the country engage with a partyless leader?
Look, Chamisa is...
No, I want to know on what basis.
Yeah, I want to give you the basis.
Yes.
President Chamisa must not be engaged on the basis of his current status. The point of conflict is the election. President Chamisa must be engaged on the basis of the mandate and his participation in the election.
But his hand has been weakened.
No.
He has been weakened by coming out of CCC, because CCC was the machinery that was giving him credibility.
President Chamisa, no. People, in South Africa, if Cyril Ramaphosa leaves ANC, you will say, yeah, you have lost your mandate, because people in South Africa vote for a political party.
But
in Zimbabwe,
look,
you don't vote for a political party. It's a presidential
Okay, for example, if the leader of the country were to say, let's engage, and then Chamisa is sitting there, is there, and even if you're to negotiate cabinet posts, he doesn't have a team. He doesn't have elected representatives in parliament.
Look.
He is an outsider. He's a civilian now.
Look, my brother. Don't put the cart before the horse.
No. I'm looking at
negotiate.
I'm looking at a model.
Yeah. But
of
you
a
don't
GNU,
negotiate.
for example.
No, but
you understand.
Let me tell you, one, you don't negotiate to get positions. That's the first thing, right? You negotiate to find an exit point for Zimbabwe. That's what if President Chamisa were to ask me, what should be the objective of a negotiation. I will tell him that, look,
Chamisa insists to represent the many facets of
he can
parliament
because we
and
made
Senate that he had
no,
accumulated.
no. It's the party that got MPs and councillors. He was the leader of that party.
Yes.
He himself, as Advocate Nelson Chamisa,
Do you know?
got a mandate from the people.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That mandate can't be taken away on the basis of the activities
But
of
don't
Tshabangu.
take away the fact that they were comrades and cadres on the ground defending territory in terms of parliamentary seats and senate seats and so on. It's not just about, you're looking at it from the presidential perspective.
No, I'm not. I can reverse you.
I'm looking at Chamisa
No,
as a force and a movement.
You are saying that MPs were campaigning and doing also, right?
It was a movement.
But
it was
you
a
are
machine.
forgetting. You are
it was
forgetting.
a machine, right? Chamisa and his team.
Let's use me as an example. We say, I know Ostallos was working in Pelandama. You are forgetting that in Pelandama, what became very decisive for me to defeat ZANU-PF and their double candidate was President Chamisa at a rally in my constituency. Moved from the comfort of his home in Kutu, came to Pelanda, campaigned for me and my councillors for us to be there.
So you're saying there's no value in you. Chamisa is the value. This is why you got Pelandaba.
I had efforts. There was his effort. So you can't dismiss his effort.
This is what I'm saying. But what I'm saying now is, what I'm saying is
he worked for us.
He has disconnected himself from his movement. The machinery that was.
He's not, but he's not. Chamisa must not disconnect himself from the people. That is the machinery.
No, but don't talk about the people in general like that.
But
Chamisa is a package. Chamisa was a package with triple C.
No.
And right now he's a civilian. And he's a civilian who wants to engage the government.
Chamisa is not trained. He's still a civilian.
No, but you get my point.
He was a civilian.
But you get my point, Gift.
I understand you, but that's why I'm trying to make you understand that, look, President Chamisa has got a mandate that he got from the citizen. And it must be, at least in my view, and that's a personal view.
You got it a year ago. We have moved on.
No, you, my brother, continue. I can say we.
We the people. No, you are a politician.
I speak on
you are a
behalf of the
politician.
people.
No. You are a politician. You are elite. You are political elite. We the people.
No.
Me, Nash, and Babu. And Nash.
I don't know if I've
You
moved
see.
on.
Oh, you're not with the people.
You see.
I don't know if I've moved on.
Yes, but we can ask people whether what I'm saying.
But you get my point. Time is of the essence when
of course.
when in politics.
I get your
understand?
point on the timing factor.
Yeah, there was a lot of sympathy when it started. I'm sure
I get your point
opposition
there.
supporters were very sympathetic to that whole contestation when it happened. But now, in August it will be a year. Already the term that we're talking about is already, that's 20% of the term.
Do you know my brother? Do you know that we went into an election in 2018? When we came from an election, people said to Morgan, 2014, you have failed, you have not delivered anything, you must go. Started their own outfits, started campaigning against Tsvangirai. We went ahead. We remained stuck with Morgan. And people said, no, you're not going to get anything, you have lost time, and so forth. Mugabe, everyone in Zanu said, no, let's look forward up to 2018, right? Before we got to 2018, there was change in this country, right? So don't equate change to a cycle of elections, my brother. I'll give you that because the November experience of 2017 teaches you that. I studied transitions in the African context, and I can tell you that transitions are not twinned with electoral cycles, right? So I understand that you might have an urgency of having change and think that nothing can be done up to 2028. That's where I'm saying you might have been getting it wrong, right? You might have been getting it wrong.
Brother, you are preaching to us. Yes, we get it. But what's your plan? There are people who are watching who are not as educated as you, right? They just want to know what's the plan with Triple-C. We've been supporting for a long time. What's the plan? Don't give us all these.
Yeah, and the leader is always tweeting. They
don't want a tweeting president.
Okay.
They want an action president.
Okay. So let me tell you what the plan is, without exposing so much, but at least so that our viewers ought to understand what we're engaged with. Like I was telling you, we took stock of what happened in 2023, what we did well, what we didn't do correct. And then we said, let's constitute a team to go and collect what we call the raw data. To first go and hear the people. What are the people saying about what must be done? And then there are inputs that came from the people. And part of the task that we assist with now, that is the big, hairy, audacious goal for us, is building a credible alternative. We take stock of the experiences, what you're talking about, constitution, structures, a lot of things, ambiguity, everything. People told us, the document is almost of 160 pages. People telling us that this, we don't want to see it. This, you guys did well. For example, we became a government in the cities with 33 seats. Cities that were governing. With frustrated Zanu's 2/3 majority, those are success stories of the CCC. So we collected all that, the good and the bad. And what we assist with now, we have to build one of the most credible political organizations in this country.
But that's what you said about CCC. This is what your leader said about CCC.
I'm telling you about what we have to do, right? That is the first thing. The second intervention, so that is basically on the party building process. The second agenda, we have to interface with the national question in this country. What is happening in the economy, challenges that we're facing, the experiences of a rigged election, all these challenges that we're facing, and provide an answer. And that answer will be pivoted around organizing society. There's not going to be a replacement. There's not going to be a replacement of us organizing society. We have to. And that goes to the question that he's saying. I don't want to put the cart before the horse, but it goes to what he's saying. We don't want this, we want that. For us to do what he's proposing, we have to organize ourselves. And that is the task that we assist with. And I've no doubt in my mind that all these things will start to show fruition, to start to be more clearer. Okay, this is what these guys are doing. We have to carry the people, ordinary people, with us. What Zimbabweans have to do right now is what we, at least from what people were saying. I don't want to be more black and white to say, you get the point, but we have to organize.
But you see, Chamisa continues to lose credibility. When Chamisa lost the 2018 election, he promised his supporters that he had a strategy to regain stolen electoral victory. This is in 2018. 2023, it's the same thing. So far, it's 2 elections. Whether they were stolen from him or whatever, it's that's what's on the table.
Yeah. Also, Denny, if they keep getting stolen, why are we getting into things that we know are going to
because
be
it's
stolen?
2 elections that were allegedly stolen, and you want us to probably to have another 3rd election which is going to be stolen, and then we're going to talk about regaining electoral victory again, and it's a cycle.
That's why to kill that vicious cycle, we have to organize.
Do you know what the problem is? The problem with Chamisa is he tweets, something is happening, we're about to get our thing, something is happening. And he's done that since 2018. Even to the point where he promises people, it's about to happen now. It's happening. But nothing is happening.
You have to.
And he's not being honest.
I think, like I was saying to you before we started airing, I don't think Chamisa is going to get into the promised land. I think he's just going to sit like Moses. That could happen him Canaan.
I differ there.
But I mean, look at the pattern. Look at the pattern.
I differ there. You know why I'm saying.
Do you know who's likely to get into Canaan? It's you, my brother.
No.
Yeah, you and Fadzai. But I don't think, because Chamisa is all talk.
Let me tell you, number one.
And you guys have too many strategies. You guys think too much. That's the problem.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you that you. The first thing, at least what I believe in, I genuinely believe that there's going to be change in this country. And I say this because I've followed Because you see, when you are in a democratic struggle against dictatorship, you have to look around. What are the experiences of the people in Nigeria? What are the experiences of the people in Zambia? What are the experiences of the people in Tanzania? It teaches you so much about a democratic struggle.
I think your problem as a party is there are too many academics.
Yeah, I can say that again.
This is the problem.
No.
You have polls, you have this, you have theses, you have theories,
No, my
you have
brother.
strategies.
Let me tell you a mistake that you are making there. There is no revolution that can happen world over without a revolutionary theory. And a revolutionary theory is a product of thought. So,
but you are 90% theory and 10% action.
No.
You are in the business of tweeting.
I think it's a Zimbabwean problem. It's not a party issue.
We don't tweet much.
No.
But you and your party, you tweet a lot.
That's why our investment. I'm traveling tomorrow to go to Midlands province. Our objective there, this country in the present moment, we think that there's ZANU-PF Mugabe invested so much in destroying class consciousness. There's no consciousness in the country. And everyone suffers. And ZANU-PF invested so much. I'll give you an example. Sponsor apathy, harvest of fear, everything. You get the point? It's a Zimbabwean problem. And some of us have understood that this is a problem. But what we have to do, if we genuinely believe that there must be change in this country, we have to undo this deliberate program of making sure that our people become conscious again. Because if you're not conscious, you're not active. That's why Zimbabweans in the present moment, they're looking for a messiah. Chamisa must do this. I must be in my house drinking coffee, and he must do it. Or I can go to my church and my leader can just make me rich. And it's not their fault. Mugabe invested in this thing to sponsor apathy, to put fear that, for example, the constitution in Zimbabwe says in section 75, we've got a right to demonstrate and petition, right? The regime unleashes violence and so forth. They're not doing that for political elites. They are doing it to isolate the leaders and the people. So that when you go to the streets, as an example, when we took over the youth assembly under the leadership of a guy called Comrade Obey Luther, then, our chairman, we said, comrades, let's go to the streets. The people are going to join us. 2018, right? We went to the streets when Harvest House. From there, we went to 4th. Military came in, started shooting live bullets on peaceful protesters. People lost their life. We said, no. Say, Sarajevo movement, we've provided leadership. What did the people do? They went home and so forth. And it's not their fault. Never make a mistake on faulting them. There was a huge investment in making sure that Zimbabweans live in fear, right? To the extent that, I'll give you an example. There are people who criticize President Chamisa and say, no, you are not courageous. Job's color is courageous. He's better leader than you. They pumped him and then went for a demonstration, got arrested, went to prison. We had to bear the burden of making sure that we campaign for fiscal. All those people were saying you are courageous. None of them were not there, right? We went to his family and all sort of things. So I'm saying this so that it's a deeper problem in our country, right? I can, for example, come out today because I'm born out of the socialist struggles. When we were socialists, we were told that the only solution to have change is a revolution, right? That's what we're taught, indoctrinated to believe. It's a socialist revolution that can bring change. That's why ZANU-PF takers, I suppose, they know that some of us believe in some of those things. But I say this so that you understand that I can tomorrow, because I've clarity in my consciousness, and say, fellow Zimbabweans, let's occupy. I can tell you that by tomorrow we have few comrades want to work conscious. Most of you will say, let's wait. What has happened to that demo? They've been arrested. Oh, shame. Free Ostallos. You then start writes on Twitter, right? So what we need to invest on, my brother, so that at least I answer more clearly. Because we've realized the problem, right? So it's both on us as leaders, but also because our people were psyched in a certain way. We've realized the problem. What we must do, the liberation struggle, if you listen to Nzirazema Soldier, they realized, comrade like Hepe Chitepo, they realized, ordinary people in Rhodesia didn't want to go to. Are you aware of that? If we were to hold a referendum before independence and asked ordinary people, do you want the war? They were going to tell you that we don't want the war. Rather, Smith should stay than for us to be killed, right? But Tongogara, as a socialist revolutionary, was then reminded of his training that if the people don't want the revolution, take the revolution to the people. Most of these people that you see today claiming that we liberated the Matemandas of this world, the people were forced to go to war, right? And then now they go, we made it. They never made a decision to go to war, those ones, right? So what we need to do, which is what I believe in, genuinely, and I might be wrong, is that we need to deliberately begin to conscientize our people. Our people, let me give you an example. Mugabe put this fear that he is very ubiquitous, he's everywhere. You would get into a combi, you start to blame and say, there's hunger. Someone wearing a suit say, who are you? I want to take you. And then I was like, it's a CIO. This mystery that was put around the Central Intelligence Organization, that you can't critique the government, you can't say anything. I live in communities. People tell you, why are you doing what you're doing? Are you not scared? They don't understand that once you are paying tax, the leadership has a responsibility to provide water in your tap and provide electricity. They think that government does us a favor when they build a small road and a school, not knowing that, no, we must sing, but you guys, we voted for you, we put you there. What happened to the 15 billion? We think that is a favor for them to explain it to us because Mugabe invested in this huge thing that makes every ordinary citizen not to question power. So the starting point, in my respectful view, we ought to educate our people. And it's not about them challenging the leaders at national level. If there is a councillor in a community, people can question a councillor, right? People can question a traditional leader. People can question an MP. People can question if you read the logo of the police, you do know that the police must answer to the people. But in this Zimbabwean context, the police is above the ordinary people, right? So the police service, right? So all these things, politicians are above, for example, institutions of the state. I'll give you an example when as I conclude. Someone asked me,
talks, eh?
No. Someone asked me and say, how are you guys going to deal, for example, with corruption? I said, do you know that we've got one of the most competent police in this country? We've got intelligence, we've got financial intelligence unit that is very competent. But where is the problem? Why is it that we lose 1.2 billion on illicit financial flows? You know what happens? The guys in financial intelligence unit, Central Intelligence Organization, police force, investigate these things, find out that this one is smuggling gold out of the country, right? Once that they've got a report, the problem is the political. The politicians will say, no, stop this, don't question. If they arrest someone 2 weeks down the line, you are caught in an airport, you are carrying gold, right? In other countries, in the Arab country, you'll be hanged. You get the point. If you are in Rwanda, you are caught like that. Kagame, the reason why Rwanda, which came from a genocide, why Rwanda it is where it is, Kagame is zero. I was being briefed a week ago that he actually arrested his brother on suspicion that he wants to be part of a deal that is corrupt, right? Once you do that, you increase the premium of corruption. Taxpayers' money goes to the state coffers and is used to benefit the ordinary people. But in Zimbabwe,
all right, Ostallos.
we don't question.
Sorry, Denny. You say that, but then there was that issue about that money that went to the CCC. And what was the story from that election money? And they couldn't
account for it?
Yeah, they couldn't account for it.
They got money from outside the country?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're aware of that one, huh?
No. That one was written by the Patriot. The law in this country is very clear, my brother. You can't receive a cent from external players. The CCC, never. I mean, they say
But there's so many clandestine ways you can do it.
no. We're talking about what exists, not about whether is it possible to do it illegally, right? We're a legal political entity. We want to govern this country. So you wouldn't do acts of illegality for you to govern. Then it means that your leadership is born
Well, you need resources in order to
Of course,
mobilize.
you need resources, but
And if the resources are coming from America, you're going to be creative to try and get the funding.
No. What you have to do, say you say we want to get funding from here. The law is very clear. If we say we've got someone who wants to give us money and the law doesn't allow, we have to say, look, the law must allow 1, 2, 3. If you look at in South Africa, they amended their Finance Act law to allow people to be funded by certain people and make declarations and so forth, right? So if we feel that, I mean, this whole narrative that they are funded by, it's a propaganda thing. To say, I don't know, they're funded by the Americans. I mean, it's like saying, Nangakwa is going to Russia, so we then say they are funded by Russia, right? It's a lazy narrative by journalists who don't read. We look at the facts, right? The most, let me tell you, I was in the campaign. Most resources that were raised by to fund our activities in local was actually from the diaspora, right? People, for example, we had allocated branches to support specific constituents. For example, I had the California branch of Zimbabweans, right? Saying, okay, we're going to help you with T-shirts, we're going to help you with fuel, and so that's how the election was funded. It was funded by the people. It was funded by ordinary people.
Okay. Chamisa has lost 2 elections so far. As MDC Alliance president in 2018 and as Triple C president in 2023. Why should the people still have faith in him?
If President Chamisa asked me and say, I've lost 2 elections, in fact, he's not lost an election anyway. He has never lost an election.
Officially he has.
Yes, he has had a problem of transition. If he says to me, look, Ostallos, there have been 2 blocked transitions in this country. I've won an election and I've not been given the reins to govern. What must I do?
The simple question is he going to keep trying until it works out?
If he asks me to say, I've won an election and there's been a block transition in 2018 and in 2020.
I don't think it's a block transition because you actually went to court and you lost in 2018.
No, my brother. Let's not go back to the exhausted debate about the role of the courts.
You see what I'm saying? But right? Officially, that is this, what happens at the courts is official, whether it's through fraudulent means or whatever you want to allege. You see, it's the official position.
It is made of it. That's what detectors do. Yes. You officialize fraud through the courts.
But this is it. So on record, it's 2018.
It's not real, but it's
no. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Officially,
we agree then. Yeah.
Officially, he's lost 2018. You've also lost 2023. 2023, you didn't even attempt to go to the courts because.
You that the courts are captured.
You see what I'm saying? So officially, you've lost two times. Okay.
Officially, we've lost a transition. Right?
Okay.
President Chamisa has had a blocked transition for 2 times.
Why must the people continue to have faith in him?
Yeah. First, I will respond to what I will advise President Chamisa.
And please respond in a short manner because gift is like a pastor.
No. If Chamisa were to ask me, I'm going to tell him that Mugabe became a president in this country when he was 54. And then I'll ask him, how old are you? And then if before he answers, I'll say, HH contested more than 11 elections before he became a president. And I'll say, make your own decision, right? But based on these experiences, right? That is what I'll tell him. Yeah. And then ordinary people, they ask me, I'll tell them simple, that President Chamisa, to the eyes of, in fact, I'll tell, because ordinary people won't ask me, elites are going to ask me, why should we continue supporting President Chamisa? I'll tell them that President Chamisa, to this very day, represents the collective aspirations of the people of Zimbabwe. And it is through his stewardship that most of us, with more than 2 million of Zimbabweans who are eligible to decide on who should leave them, believe in that. And therefore, he is presented with a unique opportunity. He has got the unique opportunity to be able to steward Zimbabwe into a democratic breakthrough. That's what I would tell anyone who asks me, because I interface with the people. I interface with ordinary people. For example, someone will tell you that I'm not happy about what you did there. But young men, Ostallos, never leave a President Chamisa. But we, in Chabalala, we believe in the leadership of President Chamisa.
Okay.
And because of that reason, I will tell the elites that for now, hang on, support the leadership of President Chamisa, because there, we've got an opportunity. We've got an opportunity to have a democratic breakthrough in this country.
Okay, so what's next? You were on tour. There was some blue movement. What's going on, and why is it a secret? Why is everything that you do is a secret? Right now, Chamisa does not have a party. You as well are not in CCC. You don't have a party. But you were going around the country mobilizing people. What was the mobilizing for?
I told you that our goal now is to build from below, right? And we're not doing it.
Is there a party?
It's not. We are building
a party.
We are building towards a political party, but we're not structuring a political party. There is a process that you do if you want to form a political party, right? One, you need to consult the people first. Two, you need to do a think tanking around the creature, the character, the form, and the content of that.
This is what I was saying. You are too academic.
It's not being academic.
You are either forming a party or you're not.
The party, let me tell you, if to form a party is not a product of just forming a party, it is a product of a thought process. A thought process
what is there to think about? If you are saying your leader, 2 million or over 2 million supporters who voted for him, what is there to ask the masses?
So let me give you an example.
What do you want to ask them?
Let me give you an example. A very serious question that we are engulfed with now. What is the ideological disposition of the new creature? Because we believe that there must be clarity on our ideological direction.
Are there going to be structures?
Look, we have to answer the question on ideology. We have to answer the question on
this
structure.
one is just a straightforward one. Structures.
Look,
having no structures has got you here.
No. But we debated on why we are here. It has nothing to do with structures.
Okay, are you going to have structures in this one?
The question is going to be answered in the formative stages.
Why must it even be a question?
No.
Parties have structures.
You can ask me what I think. I can give you my personal opinion, right? But I cannot say the new party must be, then the party, it means it's there in my head.
Okay, so
I don't want to form a party myself.
All right, that's good. Okay, so when can the people expect this movement or whatever you want to call it?
I'm not so sure about time frames, but I'm happy that the progress, and right now we've finished all the provinces. What is going to be kickstarting this month are activities in all the 210 districts in the country. So I think from there, once that process is done, because it is the most fundamental process.
And who's bankrolling this?
It's ordinary people. Our struggle has always been bankrolled by ordinary people.
When you say ordinary people, and there's no structures, and there's no party, and people know no party, and there's no clear mobilization on the streets, people then question.
No.
Because if your movement had a name, and we knew it had a bank account, and it had card holding members, this is what I'm saying. So how are the people channeling funds to you?
So no.
If you have nothing.
No, this is a formative stage. It's not about channeling funds. It's about providing that infrastructure, right? Because in forming a movement, there must be the formative forces that form the organization, right?
But it costs money to mobilize and to do all this stuff.
Yeah,
this is why I was asking the question.
People have conviction and passion, right? Once the organization is set up, you then say, he is being elected or appointed Treasurer General. Here are the accounts, this is what is going to go. That's why, if you remember, I underlined building a credible alternative.
No, we've heard this statement.
No.
Building a credible. We've heard this statement with CCC.
No. CCC.
It's the same statement.
No.
Your statements have not changed. They are the same statement. Credible.
Maybe CCC then did not become so much credible. Yeah. Because let me tell you, we have to. I genuinely believe in this, my brother. I genuinely believe that we have to. You see, all your questions, the reason why I say a credible alternative, I want you in the next interview, when the party is there, I want you to drink water or your whiskey, as it were, to say, yeah, But I want you to shake my hand. We need to build something that will make you not to question, to say, but wakomana morumboite. You get my point? We might not have reached there with CCC. Remember, our plan, my brother, we had said after election, if you remember the roadmap of the CCC, we were saying, from the election, we have to go to the official launch of the party, organs, and all these other things. Unfortunately, things went south, right? So I believe, because we are not an opposition to ZANU, we are an alternative. So alternative means you must read our policy and hear what a Chamisa government would look like. You must not have mixed feelings about what Chamisa would do. For example, in the first 100 days, we must have clarity. We're going to remove bond notes. We're going to deal with the RBZ. We are going to put the $1 and so forth.
We've had this before. We've had all this before. This is what we are going to do. This is what we are going to do. This is what we are going to do. Even with this current government, we've had this, but nothing happens like that.
But we've never governed. So we ought to have a governing blueprint, because we're not in government. The difference between us and ZANU can say we are going to do this. We can afford to say we are going to do this because we have, for example, when we made our promises in 2007 and 2008, when we went into the GNU, we could not continue to say we are going to do this. We went there and say we are now fixing the currency. We said, oh, civil servants, we're giving you $500. We were not promising, we were delivering, right? Now, we are not in government. But we cannot then sleep and say, because ZANU is there, let them do what they do. We ought to put our vision. Because people can't just vote for us because they hate ZANU. People ought to see what we're going to do, for example, with Palestine, right? People want to know what is our position on Russia-Ukraine war, right? People want to know what is our position on Western Sahara.
What is your position on the Palestine?
No, now you want my personal position.
Yeah, your personal position. What is your position?
No, my position on Palestine is that there must not be aggression in Palestine. I personally don't believe that Israel should continue stopping flowing of water and food. Life can't be lost on account of all those things. That's what I believe in as an individual. I think that the world must do more to stop the aggression, in Palestine. That's what I believe in. I believe that there must be peace. I believe that there must be stability. And eventually, I personally believe that there must be debate and discourse and conclusion around the status of parliament itself. And that status of parliament of Palestine must be determined by the Montevideo Convention on state, because it is the one that defines what a state must be. One, permanent territory. It must have its own people. It must have its agreeable, possible leadership, right? On that basis, the United Nations, all the progressive forces in the world, must debate the status of Palestine on the basis of the Montevideo Convention, because it is the one that defines Zimbabwe. It's the one that defines America. It's the one that defines Russia, and it must define whether Palestine can exist as a state or not.
Okay, that's anything else, guys? We are joined by Gift Ostallos, Siziba, former deputy spokesperson of CCC. No, I don't think we need it anymore because Gift has done whatever we were going to ask her.
We also need Chamisa on the show.
Yeah.
Because you see what this show is about. We are not into ZANU-PF or CCC or MDC. We are a very neutral place. So when we ask you these hard questions, we just want you to be accountable.
Yeah.
I think it's if President Chamisa were to ask me, I would recommend him to come to the show. I think that it will give him an opportunity for you to ask him and say, because most of these counter narratives that are put about him are not true, and he can, unlike in an interview which is short and brief and specific on a certain issue, the podcast will allow him to clear his issues. So many people, I asked President Chamisa, I said, but So he was giving us a sequence of how we could unpack some of these complex issues that we face. And I said to him, Mr. President, why is it that you are clear to me? You are clear, you are showing intellectual depth and rigor. Why is it you are seemingly concealing this part of you, right? To the level and extent that people think, no, it's just a pastor. He just twists verses, right? And I say, you are showing critical thought. Why is it that when you go out there, you want to conceal this part of you, you know? And he explained to me, and he said, when you write your books, add this, and I'll keep it for now. Yeah. You know, and I'll write it because he explained to me why he's doing that. You know, and I think that if you bring him in such a platform, quasi-informal, you'll be able to freely express his views, you know, so that ordinary people and members of the media can understand why he has taken certain decisions. And this guy has been in the center of executing the democratic struggle for 2 decades. Someone rich with experience, and we learn from him. We get to understand his experiences in the struggle from him. And I think that because he missed very limited spaces in the media because it's just short and so forth, this will offer him an opportunity to express his views, whether it's on religion, his views on the politics of the country, his policies, what he believes about Zimbabwe, and so forth, right? So that you get to realize that this is the guy fit for the job.
Yeah. I want to thank you, Gift, Ostallos, Siziba. It's been a nice conversation. One thing I noticed about you is you're very loyal to your president. You defended him at every turn, as a loyal cadre should. But and you know, there's a lot of promise in you yourself as an individual politician. You know, I've watched you on so many other platforms, and I think the future is fantastic for you and for opposition politics. And I wish you the best. And hopefully we're going to have you again in the future. You know, to unpack whatever we didn't unpack today.
No, thank you very much, Denny, and our listeners. I've no doubt that we'll make it to the appointment with the future. And we're going to have a conversation, me and you, when we make it to the appointment with destiny. We're going to talk about these experiences, these challenges. Yeah. It's not an easy road. But when we get there, let's ensure that we have the conversation, you know, in the most important office in the country. That's why we must make the we can't make it here. Let's make it in the most important office in the country when we make it to the appointment with the future. Thank you very much.
All right, okay. Anything else?
No, we're good.
Gift, Siziba. Ostallos is the middle name, but
yes.
A lot of people call you Ostallos.
Yes.
I know yeah. Is that because you prefer them to call you Ostallos?
I think it's the most known name.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, turn on notifications. Go to our website, www.boysthetoners.com. Buy our merchandise. And till the next one.
The Denny J Show. Zvanga zviri down ta up tauraidzwe nyaya dzacho dzese narrative ndaichidwe kana mchida kutipisa deep ndaipidwe make you spill a bean if you know what I mean hande